So I work at Amazon. I'm actually part of the Ops Tech IT team, which is just like operations IT. Aside from that, I just pretty much game. I'm at home with my fiance and 4 cats, and taking care of our newborn son.
We are here today for the Corporate Esports Association Overwatch 2020 Spring Playoffs. It is going to be a spectacular day. I'm through most of it, only does get one as the Blizzard comes out on the backside. T also going to find the Deadeye onto Specs on the high ground. Google has to press on the pedal to try and touch this point, and they're not! Oh, it comes up short. Amazon Fire Force will be able to take Volskaya Industries.
CEA to me is like an organization that pulls together a lot of these like top companies around the world. I think it's like a great team building function, and then also it's for a great cause. It's for charity.
And since two members showed up in the top lane, they're immediately going to go for the dive in the mid lane with the damage onto Pandora. They're going to be able to pick up the kill. Twice over for Apocalypse. Everyone else is going to be running for the hills. Nobody wants to be able to join in this fight. With the minions there, the Baron's still on everybody. This is going to be the grand finals for Team Amazon Stock Dip. They've got the money, $5,000 for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. They have secured it for themselves with a 3-0 victory.
Yeah, so like losing to Adobe was like pretty heartbreaking. I got like the second place trophy in the mail. I'll see it like every day, and like it's like a reminder, like you have to do better. You always have to like somebody out there is better than you. Like you should always try to be the best. But like we're definitely gonna come back way stronger, way better. We don't want to drop another game during the season. We definitely don't want to lose in grand finals.
Adobe Illustrators taking this next map. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever the time may it be, or it may be for you across the world, across the country. Here, this is the Corporate Esports Association's week number 5. This is the last week of Swiss play before teams get seeded into groups. That's gonna be a good time. Of course, we will have the Shopify Dropshippers versus MSFT-B coming in here today, and this is a special matchup for several reasons. The first one, of course, is this is the last week of the Swiss groups, or the Swiss play. So we'll see teams seeded into different groups based off how well they did in these 5-6 weeks, if we include preseason. But on top of that, well, we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get ready to move on into map number 1. But I need to change lobbies. 1 second. I just realized there's a mistake. As the lobby, what's the word? The logo is mod. I have something that is not for CEA. It's actually for something else. So we got to go to default. There we go. All right. Anyway, so as we talk about things, this is, of course, the Corporate Esports Association, the spiritual successor to the After Hours Gaming League that Day 9 TV ran for many years. Picking up steam, I believe this is its second or third total season. And it's been going on, catching steam. And a couple key points to hit here. First of all, these players, outside of the rare exception, are not professional players. They are incredible players. They do good work, but they are professionals in their daily lives. They work for Amazon. They work for Facebook. They work for Microsoft. They work for whatever the case may be, all these different companies. And as such, the prize pool is not a monetary prize pool for the players. Instead, of course, these players are playing for different charities. So we'll get to learn about that a little bit later, once this best of 5 is done. But as we talk about that, well, we're just about getting ready to load into map number 1 here. We'll be on Death Aura, which was Shopify's map swap. So every week, each team has the option to swap one map, because there's an A map and a B map, and then this one, Shopify decided to swap over to Death Aura. And I guess this is because, well, We're going to talk about this a little bit more once the game finishes loading up, but this is a pretty exciting matchup. And we're going to get into it in just a second. And here we are, spawning in the bottom, well, in the upper left, in the red. The Shopify Dropshippers, he's 0. And his opponent in the bottom right, in the green from the Microsoft B, it's Ulala. Now, as we talk about things here, and talk about specifically this player coming in here for the Shopify Dropshippers, because Zero, well, he's something a little bit special. He was the former, emphasis on former, ace of the Amazon A team. I believe that's Firestick? The Amazon A team that has terrorized this league and has previously terrorized the After Hours Gaming League to much aplomb. He is perhaps the highest rated, the highest MMR player in the entirety of this league. And as such, well, he has some high expectations on his shoulders. He's sitting at about 5,600 MMR, very much a Grandmaster player, and this is his debut. And I don't know whether this is because in weeks prior he was getting ready for his new job or whatever the case may be, but now he does work for Shopify. Now he is most likely going to be their ace player, and he is, well, just going to do whatever he wants to do. Now on the flip side, Ulala, well, he's closer to the average skill level of the players in this league, which means that well, it's gonna be interesting to see what Zero decides to pull up. Both players, of course, going for gas first into double gas here, as this, well, this is one of the two big meta plays, or one of the two most common openers we see in TVT at the moment. The other one, of course, is Reaper Expand, as per usual, but there's almost like there's this interesting, I'm not gonna call it, it's not a Venn diagram, it's a rock, paper, scissors matchup between Reaper Expand, that we are not seeing here, between this gas first into double gas 1-1-1 opener that gets a 3 to 4 minute second command center. And then there is the Proxy Reaper, or Proxy Barracks in general, and there generally it goes that that Reaper Expand is better than 1-1-1, is better than the Proxy, is better than Reaper Expand. So that's kind of how that works. But anyway, we do have this Reaper Expand coming in here. The Reaper really not going to be able to get a whole lot done. A Zero really does not want to jump on in here because, of course, well, whoever gets the first shot in the Reaper battle is the one that loses it, right? There's no amount of micro, no amount of macro, no amount of micro that can fix that problem. So instead, well, we just have a Zero. He's been producing things at home, getting up to the double Reaper one Hellion, and actually this is kind of interesting, because this is something that Maru has started to do with this specific opener, where if you think your opponent is going for the 2 Reaper, 3 Hellion, or actually it's 3 Reaper, 2 Hellion here. This is interesting. That's not the... Generally, it's, again, 2 Reapers, 3 Hellions. If you think your opponent is going for something like that and is going to try to be aggressive, you can probably skimp on your extra Hellions just a little bit, because you have your defensive advantage at home. You have whatever's coming out of your barracks. You probably have a Cyclone maybe, or you have a tank, or you have Marines. You perhaps have a bunker. And what all of these things mean is that this fighting advantage that you may not have in the middle of the map, well, if you stay defensive and just kind of sit at home and do that, well, it's going to be pretty scary for your opponent. But that being said, this is more than just 2 Reaper, 3 Hellion. This is, well, we do have... Just now we do see all the add-ons going down, but this is going to be 4 Reapers and 4 Hellions and a Liberator now moving its way across the map, trying to do something to bust in here. And I think we're going to see the Liberator, yeah, go on into the main base, set up some sort of siege up the main base as this rather quick, rather scary harassment force runs into the natural. There are a decent amount of SCVs down here. That is absolutely something that must be dealt with. But now with the Viking here, this really should not be able to get a whole lot done. But of course, with everything running on in, well, 2 workers will go down immediately. Those grenades are going to hit pretty nicely. And yeah, so 4 workers are going to go down. But I don't think 4 workers for a Liberator for 3 Hellions and 4 Reapers is a good trade in and of the slightest. I mean, it's a nice move. Sure, you say, oh, look, I'm ahead 3 workers. I'm not even ahead the full 4 workers because, of course, Zero, he does have his natural done. He has his orbital done. So it's 2 Reapers at 2 SCVs at a time versus 1. So we talk about macro advantages here. The Zero definitely has that. Also has the army advantage because, well, Ulala, he committed so hard to this. He really had to do, I'm not going to say game-ending damage, but had to do rather significant damage to get it, to make everything work here. And actually, with only 2 Marines in the front, the Reapers do win that. So this bunker will not get up rather quickly. We'll force all the Marines to the front here. And yeah, there we go. That Hellion's going to go down as well. But now the Reapers, they're just going to go on into the main base, I think. But yeah, there we go. Now on into the main base. Going to do what they can to just assassinate these SCVs that are trying to build things. But now that Reapers should go down. But the full scout is there. We do know it is bio for both players. Actually, do we know about? Yeah, okay. We don't know it's bio necessarily, but consider, well, okay, that's true, guys. Yeah, we do have Marine tank coming in here for Zero as well. But really, the supply tells the story here. Zero sitting here up 20 plus total supply. And really, this is just because he did not take too much damage to that early attack. He was able to get up to a nice macro lead earlier. He got his he got SCVs earlier, and really that's all he lost. He pretty much only lost SCVs, so he's been able to build up this army to pretty terrifying heights. As we now move on into the mid game. It looks like Ulala is pretty well aware of this. He says, you know, I'm behind. I'm just going to tank up, turtle up, put my bunker up, and do what I can to try to find my way back into this game. Maybe if I wait long enough, I can bounce this income advantage back into my favor. But I mean, as we see here, it is +6 workers. And no, same amount of mules, but +6 workers, which means it's going to go back up once again sooner rather than later. Not a great situation. Playable, but it's not good. And other interesting things of note to point out as well. We do have Zero. He looks like he's going for at least a couple of Vikings. 3 at the moment, but it's gonna be interesting to see whether he goes for Vikings or medevacs out of that reactor and starport as well, because there is kind of this dichotomy we see in TVT with how players like to play. There are players that like to go medevacs, and there are players that like to go Vikings. And honestly, I like the Viking style more. I think I see people win with it more. Because once you get that air dominance, you're able to get your sieges up more properly. You're not spending mules, or you're not spending scans on positioning, which means you have more mules, which means you have more income. All of that jazz. But it looks like we do have Ulala here. He's going to try. He's going to do what he can to maybe take a third base, but that is a third base that has not yet been started. Meanwhile, of course, well, the third orbital is now done. It is on position here for Zero. And sure, maybe it's a little late by the standards of other matchups, but for TVT, this is, in fact, just fine here. As now we just sitting here macroing just because of the economic advantage that Zero has had for himself thus far in this game, in this series. Well, we just see the supplies skyrocketing. He had 71 army supply to 44. And it looks like we're going to see, well, no, Zero's just going to move out a little bit to be able to secure his third base, get up to that nice 66 odd worker count that is so wonderful, so useful for Terran players all across the world. And, you know, the one thing, of course, 1-1, 2-2 is not going to get started maybe as fast as possible, but still, this is going to be 1-1 versus a 0-0 Ulala army. And sure, he has combat shields, and honestly, I feel like, at least compared to +1 attack, combat shields are more important because it's +10 HP, which is well, I don't necessarily, I haven't done the math, but anyway, it's +10 HP per Marine, which is massively impactful when you're talking about this, when you're talking about how fast things fire. Armor is, of course, incredibly impactful for similar reasons, but again, more HP shield is nice. And now we do have Ulala moving and trying to see what he can get done here. But I don't think this is a fight he wants to take. Now, what is interesting, we do have our Red Terran player. He was dragged on in to this fight. Okay, he's going to do a good job. He's going to target down both Ravens, but he's going to, in fact, lose all of his Ravens there. And now all the SCVs on the third base, they're going to be forced to retreat, as Ulala actually found himself a pretty nice sieged up position here. And more importantly, look at the army supply. The army supplies are roughly equal. And now Zero has to do everything he can to prevent his third base from going down. But with the repair here, that should be fine. But I wouldn't even be surprised to see the Vikings, say, run on into the main base, land. Well, because, of course, there are a couple tanks here to defend, but tanks just melt to Vikings. Now we do have the surround coming on in here. Player's going to do what, Zero's going to do what he can. Now, we do have the one, well, the one turnoff that he has, but of course, he's going to stim in here. He's going to get one tank, but everything's going to be forced back here. And Ulala, he's absolutely making a game for himself here in this game number 1. I mean, sure, he's down, he's down upgrades, although that's going to be fixed decently fast. But I mean, look at the army supply. He's up army supply. Yeah, he's down workers. And he has been cutting SCVs to make this work. Only now is he starting to do that again. But I mean, he's in a fairly good position, and I would have honestly liked to see him start rallying across the map. Really keep that pressure on. Because he absolutely does have to kill his opponent here. Yes, it is 1-1. +2 attack is on the way. And okay, so now we do have Zero's army from the high ground. These 2 tanks are going to go down. And with that, the army supply lead as well for the most part. 59 to 58 army supply. Now, Ulala, once again, he's going to have to make magic happen. And with again, it's going to be rather difficult for that magic to happen, as we do have, we're going to have 2-2-1 with +1 mech attack as well. So as later this game goes, with how much later or how delayed the upgrades of Ulala are, it's going to be incredibly difficult for anything to happen. Because Marines fire so quickly. Upgrades on them are probably one of the upgrades for Marines are perhaps one of the most impactful set of upgrades in the game. Again, because of that rate of fire. So that every additional armor, it has massive impact on whether Marines survive when fighting other Marines. Every additional attack, same difference. So now we do have the army of Ulala here going to siege outside of what is now the third, what is the new third base. Actually, sorry, this is the 4th. There's a planetary here. Gonna do what they can. Now, Ulala does have air control, and this is what I was talking about earlier, where it becomes a little bit difficult for the player that has gotten medevacs to be able to do what he wants, just because, well, he does not have that air control that is so nice, which means the tanks are able to siege up as they like. But now the tanks, they're gone, which means Zero can stem on top of this air dominance that Ulala once had, and it is now going down. So only 1 Viking left. Sure, there are a couple medevacs, but that's not nearly enough. And now Zero sitting up here, 30 total army supply. 2-2 versus 1-1, 3-3 on the way, +2 tank attack on the way, and he's just about maxed out, which I think honestly, when we see Zero max out here, that is absolutely going to be the position where we're going to see Zero start to move across the map. Now, what I do like here is we do see Zero doing a pretty good job of moving his Marines across the map, making sure he has vision. Now, I don't know how much I like 5 Marines on that task force. I think you only need 1, maybe 2. But hey, nothing ventured, nothing gained. And now we do have Zero moving across the map with his death push on the way. It's 2-2. +2 mech attack is just about done. He's maxed out. He's sitting here plus 40 army supply compared to his green opponent. And sure, he's maybe a little out of position compared to his green opponent here. But who's out of position here, as we do have the red player stimming in. Everything 2-2 versus 1. The tanks are getting ready to siege up, and the tanks of Ulala do go down. Now we do have the army of Zero, just Marines versus Marines, and the Marines of Ulala are inferior, as now we do have, well, Ulala gonna do what he can here. Drop on top of the third base, but these are tanks. They're dropping into the fire of 3 tanks with +2, and everything is going to go down. And now we do have the army of Zero. It's moving across the map. The blood is in its eyes. It smells blood in the water. And Zero now crushing in, getting ready to end the life and Zero Ulala's chance in this game number 1. And we do have the Marines stimming in. Tank's gonna do what he can to siege up, but that tank will not do enough. As now Zero stimming in, doing what he can, but I fear that what he can is just not enough here. And of course, we do have the Marines there overstimmed, but if nothing can hit them, they cannot die. As now we have Zero on into the natural, taking out all the production. We're just gonna see him drop on top of this tank, or not. Actually, with the Marines there, with the Viking there, that's going to be a decent amount of supply that has died, but 185 supply to 96. We're just waiting for the next rally of our Terran player, the Convoy, to move across the map, as these 2 Marines are just getting incredible damage done by themselves. All right, so now we do have the rest of Zero's army now moving across the map, and there is just really nothing here to defend Ulala. He's doing what he can, but I believe any chance of victory in this game is a fantasy. Or at least it is a fantasy timing. Now these tanks on the high ground, they are able to do some significant damage, but now the Marines are going to stim on top of that. That tank does go down, and there we have it. GG. Ulala tapping out at Zero, taking map number 1 for Shopify Dropshippers. And now game 2 is going to be MDM for Shopify versus Future Knights, and just waiting for that map number 2. So I believe there was only one map swap. Sorry, MDM versus Microsoft, and Future Knights for Shopify here. All right, so map 2 will be Hard Rain, an older map, but definitely an interesting one. And of course, I don't believe we have any further map swaps here. So the B map for this it's called Standard, but honestly this map feels kind of short. Was Lightshade, which is the new map, so that's interesting. We're going with the old map, not the new map. This map was chosen from, actually, it was LMC 14. Was that the most recent one? Anyway, now as we talk about maps a little, map set 3, it's either Oxide or Pillars of Gold. And map 4 is going to be some crazy things. It's Bamboozle or Romanticize, so I'm excited to see that as well. All right. So now we do have, well, we're getting on into map number 2, MDM playing for Misfit, Future Knights for our Shopify team. And honestly, this should be a little bit more standard of a matchup, or a little bit closer of a matchup. That being said, though, Ulala absolutely acquitted himself. Well, he had a chance to win if he had been rallying across the map instead of just sitting there with his army back at home, when he was able to break the third base of our of Zero. Now, I don't know whether he was going to win off that push if he's able to keep it going, but he definitely had an opportunity. He had a chance. So there is that. Again, our next matchup will be a TVZ. It's going to be MDM versus Future Knights. MDM for Microsoft. Future Knights playing for the Shopify Dropshippers. But when we look at MMR here, it's going to be a little bit more even. Actually, I think Shopify may have a minor advantage. And now we're just sitting here waiting to figure out whether we want to go, what server we want to play on. So that's just kind of, that's the holdup at the moment. But of course, as we sit here, taking a look at things, we should probably put this matchup in context. As both Shopify and Microsoft are sitting here at 2-2. Okay, looks like we're going to rehost and move it on to Central. Shopify and Microsoft, they're both sitting here at 2-2. They both, of course, theoretically, they do want to go find themselves into that upper group, the upper tier. And they want to be able to make a pretty, okay. Yeah, so Team Liquid's, yeah, nice, interesting. So that map is pretty new too. I guess the tileset just made me think of, reminded me of, I think Heavy Rain, I guess, which probably with the name anyways. But both players, of course, want to find themselves in the top group, which gives them a better chance to make their way into playoffs, to get into the upper bracket of the upper bracket of the playoff series. And this kind of is make or break it. We will see whoever gets to 3-2 is going to move up. Well, that's going to be, they're going to have a winning record. They're going to be able to do that. I don't necessarily know how tiebreakers turn out, but having a total winning record is going to absolutely help you there. And on the flip side, going down to 2-3 is going to be pretty killer. So Shopify probably has the advantage here. They have their new ace, that's their new ringer, and Well, if you got a GM on your team, the idea is almost got to be, hey, we're just going to take it to game 5. We don't really care. As long as we take it to our ace match, we're probably winning the week. So that's a little bit of less stress off our shoulders if we almost have 2 guaranteed wins. But anyway, so I should say we can probably expect Shopify to continue this upward trend. All right. Because we're already, looks like, that's that whole, hey, what server do we on? Do we play on West or Central? Who's got the better ping? And, well, maybe we have a little bit better ping to Central, and then you swap to Central. Oh, it was better on West. And good enough. Now we have that wonderful, amazing countdown getting ready to go on here. It's going to be MDM. It's going to be Future Nights. Game number 2 will be on Hard Rain, and I'm kind of excited for this one because I have never seen this map in play before. It's going to be interesting to see how things turn out, whether we have anything special coming in from from either team here for this map number 2, because of course this is a preparation-based format. Matchups are announced some point during the week, and you have a bit of time to A, prepare for your opponent, and B, prepare for the map you're going to be on, which always makes for interesting things. You see some crazy builds sometimes, and absolutely have an opportunity to take advantage of this of the differences, to maybe pull a rabbit out of a hat, maybe take a win that you would not necessarily be expected to take. All right, but our players, they're loaded in to this map number 2, so let's get into it. And here we are, spawning in the bottom right. In the green, he's the Zerg for Shopify Gaming. It's Future Nights.
3,200 DPI.
That's unfortunate.
1,600 DPI.
And his opponent in the upper left looking to tie this series up. He put his team on the board in the blue for Microsoft B. It's MDM. So this is, of course, a TVZ, which means we're most likely going to see one thing and one thing only. We're going to see Hatch Gas Pool coming in from Future Nights. Although, yeah, there we go. We do have that drone going down now. A little bit late. Yeah, that was unfortunate. I thought I had turned it off on my mouse macros, but apparently I have not. And that's weird. Yeah, okay. All right, so now, again, on the flip side, we do have Ripper Expand coming in here from MDM. Again, nothing crazy, nothing zany. Both players say, you know what, look, we're roughly even here from an MMR perspective. From a skill perspective, theoretically, we're it's not like one of us really needs to take some significant advantage, one versus the other. So let's just go into the mid game. Let's play this TVZ that all of us are so familiar with, whether it's Hydra Bane, whether it's Mutiling Bane, whether it's just Ling Bane, whether there's the off chance that we're going to see Future Nights go Roach Hydra, whether it's mech, whether it's bio, all of these things. Well, that's something that can happen in the mid game, and no big deal. Although, yeah, there we do have the SCV going to attempt to block the triangular base, or not. Okay, never mind. Just going to steal a set of minerals from it. I was going to say that's a little bit odd. As well, it's more likely, I think, that we see the Zerg take this base, but there's actually a terrifying sieged up position right here, and all around this. Although it's hard to see high and low ground on this map, to be totally honest. Anyway, there's a terrifying sieged position there. Should the Terran be able to get his way into it, which can absolutely push this third base pretty hard. So, I don't know. As a Zerg player, I'd be maybe a little bit reticent about taking my base there. But, you know, I'm not Future Nights. And Future Nights, of course, he has potentially had Zero as a practice partner. And that means that, well, that's a pretty good situation for him to be in. So if there's anything he's worried about, well, spending a week practicing that, it certainly doesn't hurt. And now so now we have the Reaper doing what it can and targeting down the Lings, but really wants to be targeting down this the drone here. But yeah, the third base will go down on the triangular third, which More often than not, it's not exactly something the Zerg wants to take, as that just means the Terran can just kind of abuse the drop cliff, high ground, low ground, high ground, low ground. And of course, you're also expanding towards the Terran instead of away from the Terran, which makes the rally distance shorter, which means you're more likely to be susceptible to spooky, scary Terran pushes. Interesting. So it looks like we're going to see mech here coming from MDM. And I don't believe that was Scat. I believe the Overlord got its... Okay, actually, no. The Overlord did find its way in. This is a second factory here. And so this is looking like Blue Flame Hellion more than anything else. We do see that the tech lab right there, double factory. So that is something that you don't see all that often, to be totally honest. Blue Flame Hellion is a pretty rare build these days. It's just not something that you see. Zergs kind of figured it out, but okay, there we have a Cyclone on the way, so it looks, never mind, maybe it's not Blue Flame, maybe it's just going straight on into Battle Mech. And let's look at this map. All right, the third base, pretty choked in, easy to defend. Once you have the third, you almost have a free fourth. Yeah, this is a pretty good mech map, or at least has the potential to be. Maybe that's what we're gonna see here. We don't see double gas coming in for the moment on the natural, so. Oh, as I say that, there's the gas coming on in. And yet this will be Blue Flame after all, so we're just going to see some pretty committed Hellion pressure coming in from MDM here. Probably, most likely transitioning into something that's actually on the closer to standard mech play. And yeah, he does continue building the Cyclone, so this is just Blue Flame Battle Mech, interestingly enough. And I don't know if this has been totally sniffed out here, or Future Knights. I mean... Yeah, he saw the double factory, but I don't know if he's really prepared for it. He only has a Baneling Nest, not a lot of Zerglings here. Yeah, only, what, 3 Zerglings on the map? And if MDM knew about this, he could absolutely just kind of push in here. The Queens are not enough to stop him, not by themselves. But MDM does, of course... Oh, well, this is really cool. So, not content with just Blue Flame Cyclone. No, this is super all-in. We're going to see some Blue Flame Hellbats coming in here as the armory is now going down. Now, of course, the first step is to clear away as much creep as possible. That has happened. Yeah, using some scans there, removing all the creep tumors. And this is a pretty terrifying army from MDN. Now, Blue Flame is now done. The Lynx are going to run on in, and they will find themselves dead and dying, roasted and toasted. And with the lack of Banelings here, this is pretty terrifying. Now, there are a decent amount of Queens. What is this? 7 total Queens on the screen right now. Is that all that is on the map? No, 9 total Queens on the map here, and this is how Future Knight chooses to defend. But once the Hellbats go up, well, it's going to be rather spooky, rather scary indeed, which I guess makes sense because this is the month of Halloween, and now we do have MDM running in 2 Queens going down immediately. But he does, of course, have to be aggressive. He does have to get something done here. This is, despite the fact that he's getting his 3rd command center, despite the fact that he's getting a 3rd factory, this is all in. He's sitting here only on 39 workers. He has cut workers for this. He absolutely needs to get something done with these Hellions, with these Hellbats, to be able to make sure that, to actually just, to justify the cost, to justify the expenditure here. And now with the Banelings on the way, well, the Banelings, that is a little bit scary. Now, we do have more Queens going to go down. A couple more going to be targeted down here. And the Hellions are absolutely in a position where they can just line up these Banelings and just kill off everything, especially now off creep. But the SCVs have been pulled as well just to repair everything. And now the Hellions, or the Banelings, they're off creep. When you're off creep, you don't go fast. There is no zoom. Which means, well, you're most likely going to die, but no, MDM, he's just content to kill off as many of these Queens as possible, but now these are not the best splits and not the best kiting here. And the Banelings are actually getting some rather good connections on the army, on these SCVs, but now the Banelings, they're going down. Now, let's say the good news for MDM here is he's kept his opponent pretty low on workers and showed the Zerglings they're going to do what they can to surround. The Baneling connections are going to be nice, but again, it's just not enough. And it's pretty cool. So we do see 1 Hellbat with more, but now we see a couple more. And sure, the SCVs are gone. They're no longer there to tank. They're no longer there to repair. However, it's still 2 Cyclones. It's still a bunch of Blue Flame Hellbats. And the reliance on Zerglings is just not a good situation for our Green Zerg to be in here in the slightest. Now we do have the Hellbats. They are on top of the 3rd base, doing what they can to just kill this off. And yeah, now of course there are Banelings here. They are on their way in, but I mean, more and more Cyclones, more and more Hellions on the way. We do need to see some splits here. Decent splits on the way here for our blue Terran player. And yeah, actually, I think this may just be enough. Although he does need to fight with his entire army at once. He can't just... cannot sacrifice half the army to the Queens. And more and more. How many Queens have died this game? 5 total. Okay. Now, honestly, not as bad as I thought. But soon to be 6. And now the Hellbats, they've just found their way on into the mineral line here, killing off all the Zerglings, and they just micro the way forward. So drones dive high collateral damage. But the Queens are actually just doing an incredible job of defending. And with the pathing here, well, MDM, he's going to be forced back. And now we do have a roughly equal game. And I say roughly with extreme prejudice because, well, it's MDM, he's up on workers. He's down on army supply, and these Baneling shots are just going to be massive. When you commit this hard to Zerglings against a mech player, well, you can expect to suffer just a little. Now we do have more and more factories on the way now. No add-on on his factory yet. I would expect to see Tech Lab. It looks like this one actually just isn't hotkeyed, which is unfortunate here for our Terran player. That Widow Mine has gotten so much done, and now it looks like Future Knights says, you know what, to hell with this. I gotta be aggressive, but yeah, it can't be aggressive when Baneling's speed is not done. And now we have this battle mech army finding its way across the map once again. And with how short of a rush distance this is, well, the reinforcing army gets there pretty daggone fast. I'm sure this is a lot of Banelings on the way, so MDM, he's got to be a little bit careful. But he will, of course, find these Banelings before they morph. Not really interested in moving on in, but he has now found a position where there is no creep. Widow Mine's actually doing pretty good work here. So now we do have the Terran army. It's sitting here on the low ground, and this should just get cleaned up. That is a lot of Zerglings. That's a lot of Baneling. And the Terran army was just going to go down, but still, it's 70 SCVs to 48 drones, and roughly equal army supply here. So not to sing the song of doom and gloom, but Future Knights has to get something done. As he is just sitting here, he +1 Carapace on the way. Well, Carapace is pretty much the upgrade you don't get against mech. I mean, sure, when you have Mass Lingbane, you might get 1/1, but Carapace against mech is, I mean, just because of how Overkill works, Carapace is like the one thing you don't want to get. But now this is going to be actually really good surround here. Baneling's going to crash on top of everything, and the Zerglings do a good job of just soaking off the Widowmine shots before they go in. And now we just have the Zerglings, we have the Banelings running on into the mineral line here, doing what they can to, well, to equalize the economic disadvantage, but the SCVs have been pulled home. That being said, this is not going down. Now we're going to have the Banelings just crush on into everything. Theoretically, all these SCVs moving on in Maydays, 18 workers going down. And all this one Baneling shot is just going to be not barely enough. 2 Banelings there. 2 Banelings do an incredible amount. 1 Baneling by itself is still killing 40 workers. And now MDM is just in a terrible position. 29 workers to the 55. And Future Knights may have found his opening in this game. He was not in a great economic position. Not at all. Sitting there at 53 workers playing Lingbane, that's not something you want to be in the slightest. However, when you kill off 42 workers, you absolutely have an open. That is absolutely something that helps you there. This Baneling, or this Widowmine, has just gotten so much done. Almost killed a queen. Killed a bunch of army. Killed a bunch of drones, I imagine. But what we really need is some overseers. I don't think we have any on the map. Alright, so now the army of our Terran player once again is on the aggressive, getting aggressive here, and that Baneling shot can just seal the game up. That Widowmine shot was absolutely massive. Drilling claws are a terrifying thing here for Future Knights, as he loses most of his Zerglings, most of his Banelings to that one shot. Now we do have the army of MDM moving its way on into the 4th base, doing what he can to get aggressive here. And now there are centrifugal hooks are here. So the Baneling connections are going to be nice, but I just fear that there are not enough of them, as now 53 army supply to the 34. More Zerglings, more Mutos are now on the way, but that's not maybe enough. As 15 workers do go down, Widowmine shot's going to be pretty nice against the combined might of all these queens. Just going to be able to soften them up. Actually, as I say that, it looks like it didn't really hit much at all. And the 4th base of our Zerg player is going to go down, and this is almost a worthy sacrifice here. Actually, no, this is absolutely a worthy sacrifice for MDM. He sits here still up on army supply, despite everything else that has happened. Now, the one thing that Future Knights does have in it, well, 2 things that Future Knights has going from here is A, he's got mutas out on the map and there's not a lot of anti-air. Although with the mass banelings or mass widowmines we're seeing, there's a decent amount, and cyclones as well. B, his opponent only has 42 workers. All right, so the economic position here of MDM is not, it's not the 70 worker position it was earlier, as these mutas, they just fly over widow mines, and now only 3 mutas on the map, and 3 mutas are not all that great. Widow mines can burrow, but will not die, will not kill off in time. You know, honestly, I would like to see just MDM here, sit here, macro up for just a little bit, advance his tech, get to where he needs to be, but nope, he's just going to continue to be aggressive. And yeah, we do have mutas being pounded out here for future nights. He says, you know, this is my chance to win this game. Interesting that we have more Marines on the map. I guess he's been occasionally accidentally making them. Now Banshee's on the way too. This is a rather interesting mech composition coming in from our blue Terran player. Over the Hellbats and the Hellions here. Everything. The Banelings, well, they're not going to be targeted down. The mutas are going to jump on top of everything. And sure, Cyclones are decent against mutas. Don't get me wrong. One lock-on is one dead muta. But with the Ling Bane here getting on top of everything as well, well, they can't really get their lock-ons. They can't fire like they want to. And the army of MDM will be smacked back once again. And every second this goes on is theoretically an opportunity for our Green Zerg to reestablish its economy. To go and get to get up on the to get an upgrade lead, to do all these things that he is now doing, or he or she's now doing. The Widowmine shot's gonna be okay, not incredible, only 8 circling, so not the end of the world. Now we have 15 mutas on the way here, but I worry now that MDM, he's had enough time to deal with things. 2 Thors on the way, 2 at a time at this point, and of course it is either 3 Thor shots or 3 Thors that just insta-kill mutas. Assuming equal upgrades. And the mutas have no upgrades whatsoever. And actually the Thors have +1, so this is even scarier here. So I fear for this next push of MDM. Sure, he's been throwing away needlessly, but he has been doing a good job of keeping the economy of the Zerg player down. As now we do have him moving across the map once again with only 1 Thor. 2nd Thor on the way, so this is absolutely an opportunity for our Zerg player to jump on top of these Thors as they rally across. Magic Box that, but says, no, the economy is my goal, as the Mr. Turret will get targeted and will go down. And the 3rd base economy here, well, what 3rd base economy does not exist. And MDM says, you know what? I understand that my economy is gone, but I'm just going to go up across the map and kill you now. I have the better army. I have the more cost-effective army. I have better army supply. I have all these things that you should absolutely be afraid of. That is a lot of Zerglings, and that is a lot of Banelings, and they're just going to run on in. Try to take 2 fights at once, but because of that, well, that's a scary fight to eat. Now the Thors are here, and the muta's actually doing a pretty good job of magic boxing, of killing the Thors off. But the magic box on the 2nd Thor is not nearly as good as the 1st, and so many of these mutas go down. And sure, there are some left, and sure, this army of our MDM will get cleaned up, but at the expense of the 3rd base. At the expense of almost the entire army of Future Knights, as now MDM sitting up here, 90 supply to 38. Army supply to 38, doubling the total supply of his Terran opponent. The Widowmine's going to go off once again, kill off a ton more Zerglings, and now we have a 4-base Terran against a 3-base Zerg, and that's barely even a 3-base Zerg. 38 workers here, and Future Knights really does not have the economy that he or she needs to make sure that this goes up. Make sure that they can progress into this game. There we have it, GG. MDM can take game number 2. All right, so score is tied. Microsoft striking back with MDM. Off of a rather interesting build, to be totally honest. Blue Flame Hellion Cyclone into Blue Flame Hellbat is not a build you see all that often, in the slightest. All right. Oh, there we go. There's the next map. So now we move on into Oxide. And it actually is, what is it? It's going to be the captain of, I believe this is going to be the captain of Shopify. Ale if not. Versus the Vice Admiral. So this is another fairly significant This is another fairly significant MMR disparity here. Excuse me. As well, Aleph not, he's a Masters player. Vice Admiral is not. But hey, anything can happen when preparation is a thing. All right. So now we have Aleph not. We have Vice Admiral getting ready to move on into this game number 3. Both players looking to put their team on match point. Anyway, we're just waiting for the ready up here from Vice Admiral. Okay. So our players are ready. The countdown has begun. Gonna be Oxide for game number 3. It's gonna be Aleph not. It's gonna be Vice Admiral in the fight to take their team to match point, put themselves in a dominant position in this best of 5. And while Aleph not indubitably has the advantage, just from an MMR perspective, weird things have happened. It's a PvT. Crazy things can happen there. And, well, this is a preparation-based format, so preparation can make up for a rather significant skill disparity. Anyways, our players, they're loaded in to this map number 3. So let's get into it, shall we? And here we are, spawning in the upper right. In the red, the captain for Shopify himself. He's Aleph not. And his opponent in the bottom left. In the blue for Microsoft. Well, he's in control of the fleet. He's the Vice Admiral. Well, I guess second in command of the fleet, but you know, you get the point. It's fine. Going for that, I guess a Minecraft clan. He is playing for Team Magma, so there's that. And this is interesting. This gateway positioning in particular, you generally don't see a wall here. Generally you see a wall at the... Actually, no, what am I saying? Yeah, you get a wall here and you get a wall at the Reaper. Anyway. Sometimes your caster isn't all that smart, but of course the question is whether we're gonna... I guess the first question we gotta ask ourselves is, are we gonna see a second gas before Cybercorp? Are we gonna see some proxy void ray shenanigans? And it looks like that answer is no, as the probe finds his way into the main base. Says, hi friend, how are you? Hi, I just want to be friends, it's fine, I'm just scouting around. No big deal. And he will go and he will see that how much gas has been taken. We'll see that there's a barracks here. So, okay, Reaper expand. That is what we're seeing. And this, the cybercore here, this is what is a little bit weird because generally you either see a wall here, right, to wall off the Reaper coming on in. Actually, I think it's generally more on this side. But anyway, so to wall off the Reaper from getting behind the mineral line all that easily, or you see the wall at the Reaper clip. Say, yeah, Reaper can't get into my base all that easily. But yeah, you generally don't see a wall right there. So this is interesting. I wonder whether this is just Magma has the same building placement for every matchup, or whether this is something that is planned and prepped for. Now, interestingly enough, we do see the command center going up on the high ground here for Aleph not. So it looks like he's just being as defensive as possible. He says, look, I think I have the advantage here. I think I'm pretty good. I think I'm in a good situation to do whatever I want. So my goal is just not to lose. I don't want to die to something crazy, something zany, something that I would not have expected. So I'm just going to build my command center on the high ground. I'm not going to die to Max Pax build. I'm not going to die to proxy void rays. I'm not going to do any of that. On the flip side, Vice Admiral is going into Stargate here, and this most likely is for Phoenixes, just because based on the fact that A, it's been scouted, the Oracle's not going to be able to do much, and B, well, it's in the main base. What I will also say though is let me amend my statement talking about Oracles. I think we will see at least one Oracle unless he goes into just a really quick robo behind this, because it is pretty useful to get detection behind that, to get detection for any sort of potential crazy void or Widowmine armory drop that we've seen players like Cure do recently. But no, this is in fact going to be a Void Rays behind this, and that is something that is rather interesting. You don't often see Void Rays against Terrans, because Marines just shred them so hard. So I'm excited to see what Vice Admiral has prepared for us in this game number 3. Void Rays, again, they're not common. So that means we're just going to get something, hopefully rather special. Now this may just be the singular Void Ray to deal with drops. We do have someone lagging out. The banter going on. Although, funnily enough, I don't use SD as my droning hotkeys. I use a grid thing. Yeah, so now we have Alefnot doing what he can to outmind game his opponent. Say, hey, Vice Admiral, I'm doing something really crazy. Just give up right now. Too good. But now the drop. There we go. He has left the game, and now we're getting ready to move back into, get ready to move on into things here. So we do have the Void Ray, just scouting it. Yeah, this is an anti-drop Void Ray, but he is going on into a second. So I guess isn't the craziest thing, but definitely weird, definitely interesting. There we do have the Robo behind this. So this may be some sort of Void Ray Colossus thing, but Void Ray Colossus is a PvZ thing, much PvZ PvP thing than it is a PvT, just because again there are Marines that shred Void Rays. So Vikings to an extent, I guess Void Rays are pretty good against Vikings, but the range is there. So properly controlled Vikings will always beat Void Rays in mass. If you can, once you get to the point where you're one-shotting a Void Ray, just go in, kite back, go in, kite back. But this is going to be pretty committed, as we do have +1 air attack on the way here. Third Void Ray on the way. And this is going to be pretty cool coming in here from Vice Admiral. This is not something you see every day in the slightest. Okay, so now we do have a third base on the way here for Alefnot. This is, you know what, okay, I took my natural in my main base, and I'm a little bit behind there. Let's just take a third base. But this third base isn't all that fast, to be totally honest. Going down at 5 minutes off of a 1-1-1, I mean, it could be faster. It could also be slower, but you know, it's not like a 3cc build that you see against Zergs or something. Anyway, a couple scouting Marines will find the fact that, oh, hey, there are Void Rays on the map. That's interesting. That's odd. As now we do have this paltry force of Vice Admiral getting to move out on the map. I don't think this is going to be able to get a ton done. Well, there's a bunker here. There's Widow Mines. A tank's on the way. Now, Void Rays annihilate tanks, but anyway. So what do we have? Now, third base on the way here for Vice Admiral in a interesting position. You generally, I haven't seen this taken as a third base all that much. It's just so far away from the main base. But anyway, now we do have the Adepts going in. The Void Rays are on the way in as well. And yeah, this is not a fight. Not a fight that Vice Admiral wants to take. He's just going to lose an Adept for the privilege of finding that out. But +1 air is just about done. And we have Immortals on the way behind this. So are we going to see like a Void Ray Immortal? Huh. Now, we'll say the scary thing for Vice Admiral for the moment, he has no splash. So a Terran mass of just pure Marine, pretty much, could absolutely run across the map here once Stim is done, once +1 is done, and ruin his day, assuming he doesn't get to where he wants to be. And I think we're going to see carriers after this. With the Fleet Beacon, with the second Stargate, I wouldn't be surprised to see a third one go down sooner rather than later. But the trick is, I don't know if Vice Admiral is aware of what's happening. We only see one starport. We don't see any Viking. Well, okay, we see one Viking. We don't see any more Vikings on the way, so this is absolutely a situation where sorry about that. I think Vice Admirals actually finds himself in a pretty excellent position here. So, okay, this is not going to be for carriers. In fact, it's just going to be for Flux Veins and just mass Void Rays. And this is... Well, this is the team game style. This is the 4v4 style where you got a Protoss player on your team and they just max Void Rays. And because no one's touching them for a bit, well, they just kind of win. But I don't know if that's going to happen this game. Is Aleph not... I mean, he's going to have 1-1. Okay, so now he does scan. He scouts the double Stargate, sees the fleet beacon. He's like, okay, Viking time. Let's make some Vikings. I see what's up. But the trick is Void Rays, with how much faster they are, especially with Flux Veins, well, they can absolutely chase down any sort of Viking pressure coming in from Aleph not, assuming they're not forced to run over Marines. So this is going to be rather interesting. And there we do have the carriers on the way. So yeah, we actually will see carriers here. I thought he was... Okay. Yeah, that's unfortunate. So it looks like the rally for the third command center was sent to the mineral patch that was currently mining, where the other two command centers are rallied to, instead of the third base. So that third base is going to go down about a minute later, honestly, than he would have liked. So that's taking the wind out of Aleph's Not's sails just a little bit. Okay, +1 is done. 1-1 is just about done. I mean, +2 attack on the way and air attack. So Aleph Not, he's aware of the shenanigans of Vice Admiral. But aware and able to deal with are two absolutely separate questions. But now, because of that delay, we do have Aleph Not. He's expanding to 2 bases at once. That nice double expand there. So he's actually going to be able to match the economy of Vice Admiral sooner rather than later. Both of them sitting on pretty even worker supply, which means, well, Aleph Not, he's just making more money. Mules are a thing. Behind this, we have a Twilight Council on the way, +1 air armor on the way, and it looks like Aleph Not's Vice Admiral's getting ready to move into ground behind this after forcing his opponent to commit to air, and, well, as I said, or having the ground option is a better way to say that. Double Ghost Academy, huh? So I guess Aleph Not says, you know what, we're going into the late game. I don't want to deal with that. Let's go mass nukes. Now, you know what? I don't hate it. Nukes can be a pretty good thing. What is it? 6 nukes to kill a base? 4 nukes, 6 nukes? I don't know. Party showed us what it was in the GSL against, or Mara showed us what it was in the GSL against Parting, what was it? Last week? 2 weeks ago? Now we have 4 carriers on the way here, and Vice Admiral, he's been up on supply this entire time. Well, that's pretty encouraging for him because, well, his supply is just better at the moment. That being said, Aleph Not here, sitting on 92 workers. I feel like he may have built workers just a little bit. I mean, he has an insane economy, sitting here +600, +1,000 over his opponent, but you know, there comes a point where you just have too much kept up in worker supply, not army supply, especially when you have mules. But this, make no mistake about it, this is a terrifying air army. Mothership is just about done. The last 2 carriers are being done, or are finishing up, as, well, Vice Admiral, his supply is just about ready to cap out. And with all the gates he has behind him, well, he's going to be in a pretty good position to refill anything he loses and just sweep up the rest of the ground army. That's his goal, at least. Whether he's able to accomplish that goal is a different story. So Mothership halfway done. The 3 carriers, well, 2 of the 3 carriers just about done. There we go. Supply maxed out. 199 out of 200. Now we do have the a bunch of, well, not even chargeless yet, a bunch of zealots of Vice Admiral. They're gonna find their way in, and they're not gonna do much, but they're not trying. He's really just trying to free up some supply. Oh, these carriers though, that is not something you want to lose. That is not something you want to lose at all. Those 2 carriers do go down without much consternation in the slightest. So that is unfortunate for Vice Admiral here. But that does free up supply for his mothership to complete. There we go. Mothership, bunch more carriers, and I think we're gonna see him move out once. Well, once he maxes out once again. Now, I would like to see Storm in this army, to be totally honest. With the amount of Vikings that are there, and with how much Vikings clump up, Storm is an incredible addendum to this army. And that is what turns a good Skytoss army into a great Skytoss army. And that being said, this is an incredibly upgraded Skytoss army here. 3-2 is just about, or +2 armor is just about done. +3 attack is done. I wouldn't mind seeing a Forge go down so you can get plasma shields as well. But this is definitely a terrifying army. Make no mistake about it. As both players, they're just content to turtle up, sit back, to say, you know what? I don't think you can break me. I'm pretty confident in the late game. Have at it. Now we just have Aleph not, or we have Vice Admiral sacrificing his army. I'm not sure what this carrier is doing. But yeah, sacrificing the ground army just so he can get more carriers, more anything else. Yeah, so this carrier going down is not what you want. So now we have our first nuke of the game, and Vice Admiral not exactly. Okay, now he's responding. He knows where the ghost is, but does he have detection for it? Answer is no, but it really, what, are you gonna get one worker? No big deal. And there we go. Now he's able to find it. Ghost goes. No, he's not able to find it. There we go. Okay. Now the ghost goes down. We have SCVs now running to their doom, to their death here to harass the middle line of Vice Admiral. But this is the full frontal push. This is the terrifying army that Vice Admiral has been building for the last 14 minutes in this game. SCVs, well, they're just going to go down, but they needed to die anyways. They want to die. Now we have another nuke on the left-hand side, but there's really nothing here in the slightest. Now the fight is beginning in earnest. The fight that actually matters, as most of the Vikings do just go down, and Vice Admiral with a still pretty terrifying army. The border is doing what they can to just get on top of these Vikings, but again, the upgrades of the border race of these carriers are just so much better. And sure, the supplies were equal for a second, but Vice Admiral, his army is just better here. Now sitting up here, 124 army supply to 50, and everything is just evaporating. Everything is just dying here. There is no production. There is no army. Sure, there are some EMPs, but that does not really matter. As the army, everything here of Aleph 9 is just evaporating in the slightest. 200 army supply to 100, 200 supply to 100. And, well, it doesn't even matter if that nuke landed. I believe it did. Yeah, the nuke did land, but that is not the important story in this game. And now we have the army of Vice Admiral camping everything. And Vice Admiral with the upset there. Finding his way, bringing Microsoft to a 2-1 lead. That was unexpected. I mean, there's about 1,000 MMR difference between those two players. And this, when we talk about preparation, that is absolutely something that is absolutely something that can happen, or it can lead to that result. So now we're moving on to map number 4. And map number 4 will be Proto-Ast, or Pandacan versus Proto-Ast. Gold versus 2 platinum-ish level players. That is interesting. Oh, okay. What are the thresholds? Yeah, so Panda, who is playing for Microsoft, is technically a gold player, but he has higher MMR than the platinum player does. And both players are within their bracket, so just not quite ready for promotion as of yet. I guess there's a decent overlap in leagues down at the lower end, which is interesting. So we're just waiting for the host there. And now, I mean, assuming we don't see any more upsets, Microsoft is looking in a pretty good situation to take this week. And that would be a massive upset considering, well, Shopify is the team that has, well, Shopify is the team that has the Grandmaster player. And that says a lot. Apparently it doesn't say enough, though. As now we do have, well, we're going to see a cool matchup. It's going to be, what is it going to be? A ZVP on Bamboozle, which honestly is a pretty cool map. On a map called Bamboozle, which is super choked up through the center of the map. Super choked up through the center of the map, indeed. So, in fact, what we're going to see is we're going to see some players that theoretically, at least according to the description, so we need, yeah, so just waiting for Panda to get in to be set properly. And we're going to be ready to go. All right. Our players, they are now ready to move on into this fourth map of this best of 5. And now we do have Panda has the potential. Absolutely has the potential to take Microsoft, hand them a 3-1 lead, give them a 3-2 map score, moving on into the group stage. That's going to be a pretty nice thing for them to do. It's going to put Shopify at a unfortunate situation as they try to fight their way back through the through a lower bracket seating. I got to imagine lower group seating. Of course, we'll find that out at the end of as next week starts. But by my estimation, at least, yeah, it's not a great situation to be in. As again, these two teams, they're 2-2. They're doing what they can to make sure that they hit the upper group and not the lower group, put themselves in good position. But now, of course, we're ready to move on to this, well, potentially last game of the series on Bamboozle. So let's get into it. And here we are spawning in the bottom left, the last hope of Shopify in the blue. It's Protoast. And his opponents in the upper right, in the red for Microsoft, looking to put this one on ice. It's Pondakan. Going for it. Was that a 13 pool? Yeah, so we're going to see a 13-14 here. Coming for Pondakan. He looks to be a little bit aggressive. And that's interesting. So this is a 2-building wall, not a 3-building wall. So it's not the it's not in fact the certainly not the widest of chokes. And I guess it looks like this is a rather short rush distance, but that does also mean you can be scouted rather easily. And the probe going after Gateway means that this gas will be scouted quite easily. The question, of course, is what will Protoast do to defend it? Because scouting a build is only half the battle here. And of course, Pondakan, knowing that he's scouted, absolutely has the option to do something crazy. So you know what? No, I'm just gonna expand off this. Like, this is just me trying to scare my opponent. But it looks like that is not. Yep. Actually, as I say that, there you have the natural. It's gonna go down after 6 lanes, and all this is doing is just going to mess up the build of our Blue Protoss players. He's doing what he can. He's going to, well, perhaps overcommit. So he will lose one probe, but you got to get a whole lot more than that. And the Zerglings will not quite get there before this Zealot goes out. Actually, we're just gonna have a full wall. But 6 Zerglings, I mean, they can chew away the Cyber Core. They can chew away the Gateway. Yeah, this Chrono was not needed, unfortunately. So already Pondakan getting some good implicit damage here, as the Zerglings do what they can. And actually, they're gonna be able to get up. Not quite a full surround, but they will be able to take out this Zealot rather simply, only losing 3 of their number. So they won't be able to get in, but of course 3 Zerglings, well, 3 Zerglings not all that useful to tear down a Cybercore, but they forced a couple more shield batteries. That Zealot is something that should really never go down. You just want to hide it away in this little spot, so it's only 1 Zergling attacking at a time. And while, I mean, half the damage of the Cybercore is going down, and with more Zerglings on the way, well, I don't hate it. Especially now that, because this Adept really can't... Okay, now it does have range to the Zerglings, so a couple more Zerglings on the way. There's going to be provide a little bit of pressure, and behind this, we have a lair on the way. A rather quick one indeed, so... There's one build I'm aware of that gets a really quick lair, gets like a 2 minutes and 30-second lair, so strictly for drop alerts. Strictly to drop Zerglings on into the main base of the Protoss player and just kind of kill them that way with the Ling Flood. And we may see that because this is only 1 gas. It's only 2 out of 3. Just keeping enough gas for the drop alerts to happen, but I would expect to see I would have expected to see Overlord speed as well. Now we do have drones coming down behind this, and Roach Warren. Is this some sort of attempt at a Roach speed attack? I mean, there are enough Zerglings here for our Protoss player. Well, for these Adepts to really get nothing done. And there we do. Roach Nidus. Off of 1 gas, though. I think you need to take a couple more gases for this to really work properly. As you won't really have... Niduses are pretty expensive from a gas perspective. And trying to build Roaches, trying to build Ravagers, anything like that, well, that's just going to make life a little bit more difficult. Now, we do have the Adepts. They're going to look to shade in. Once again, they will be scouted by these Zerglings. So that will force the Zerglings of Pandakin home. We're not going to see... I don't think we're going to see drops, but now there's this Nidus position, but we should probably take a look what's happening on in the Naturals. The Adepts are finding good damage. A couple workers going down already, and these are really not workers that, well, that Pandakin could afford to lose. Now, the Adepts will go down. Now that we have Zerglings running on into this Nidus, and where are we going to see? There we go. The Nidus on its way in. Queens going on into it as well. All right, is there only 1 queen on the map? There's only 1 queen on the map, but one queen is a force to be reckoned with in and of itself. Now we do have, the Nidus is done, and Zergling is now pouring out on their way on into the main base, doing what they can to just annihilate the drone lines here. The 1 queen doing what it can as well, just spreading creep. And well, the Zerglings, they're doing a really good job. 12 workers are going down here, more and more on the way. 13 workers going down, and it doesn't really matter if you have a quote-unquote better army if you don't have the economy to defend it. Now we are waiting for more Zerglings to pound out of this. The 1 Roach doing some pretty good work. Starcraft doing what they can to target that down. What do we have? Roaches on the way, drones on the way, queens on the way. So looks like this Nidus was not as committed as I thought it was going to be. As production behind that did not really scale up, but it's 31 workers to 8. 10 armies supply to 8. Now we have another Nidus on in the way, down in the natural. And there's just nothing in position to defend it. Not quite yet. I don't think an Adept 2 sentries in stock will be able to kill us off before things complete. And now we're gonna have Roaches and another Queen pouring out of here. And Roaches fight everything that exists here pretty nicely. Now the sentries are gonna go down. Everything's gonna go down. And Shopify on the Protoss on his wits end will have to tap out. And Microsoft is gonna take the series 3-1. Well. That was the unexpected scoreline, to say the least. 0. He took game 1 in his glorious debut. And now we have Microsoft pouring it back on not the reverse sweep, but taking 3 maps in a row. And we're ready. While Microsoft is going to finish the Switch stage 3-2. Now, with that being said, we're going to go to a quick break because we have, well, now that the games are over, it's time to talk to our captains. So we will be right back. And when we're back, we're going to have some interviews. It's going to be a fun time. Hey, it's interview time, and with me we got the victorious captain, Imagination from Microsoft. Congratulations, friend. So that was I don't know. At least when I was looking at the matchups this week, I mean, you both were 2-2, so by that front, you obviously, I mean, it's looking like it's going to be a relatively even matchup. But Shopify, they had probably the best player in the league join them this week. Absolutely. So by that metric in and of itself, it looked like you all were going to be a little bit of an underdog, but I mean, a 3-1 scoreline, especially with that context, that's no mean feat. Oh, uh,
mass carriers as Protoss, but I think that really worked out for us in our favor. And then I think in the last game, Panda's been one of the up and coming players in our team, and I think he really prepared a lot for that match, and it showed.
So if you could you talk about your preparations for a little bit? Is this each player kind of goes and just preps on their own, or very much oh hey, we're team practices? How does your team go about preparing every week? How does that work for you all?
I would say more than anything, it's probably ad hoc. We don't really have a lot of formalized practice time. We're also, we're spread out across the country and we're in different time zones. And of course, we all have day jobs. So it's hard to find a common time to practice. But, we do try to play, team games across many of the players on our team, just to, spend some time with the game. But we don't really have formal, one-on-one practice sessions or any of that. But we do have kind of we plan out our games a little bit. We plan out, hey, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna try to go macro? Is there a particular cheese we want to do for a particular map or something like that? So we do a little bit of planning in from that perspective.
Yeah. So I mean, it clearly worked out this week. So looking at things here, as you say, you had a great week. I don't know whether this is your part of your preparation or just part of the gameplay, but if you were to pick one player from your team, this player was absolutely the MVP for this week. They carried us. Do you have anyone in mind, or just this is more of a team victory?
That's a hard. I think this week more than anything else, it really is a team victory, because in order for us to win, it wasn't just one match that we had to win. We had to win all of them, because we were pretty sure that if we went into the ace match, we would be up against 0 and we would have no chance. So this is very much everyone playing well today.
Yeah, that was pretty evident. So you all are 3-2, which probably puts you in pretty good stead as we move out of Swiss stage into group stage. What is Microsoft B's goals for this season?
Our number one goal, honestly, is to have fun, right? We have an A team that is a lot more competitive than we are, and certainly, I don't think head to head we can beat our A team there. So really, we just want, socialize, have fun, and get some good Starcraft out of it.
Yeah, we definitely got that. So of course, this is a tournament that is for charity. Who are you all supporting as we move on for this season?
This year we're supporting Doctors Without Borders. Actually, not just this year, but for many years now, we've been supporting Doctors Without Borders. But this year feels especially relevant.
Yeah, absolutely. So is that something you share with Microsoft A, or is this just a Microsoft B as Doctors Without Borders because it's really special to someone on your team or some people on your team?
This year we're actually both playing for the same charity. I think in previous years, that's actually a good question. I think most years both teams have been playing for the same charity. I think maybe there was 1 or 2 years here and there where we had different charities.
Fair enough. Now, before we close this interview out, anything, any shout outs you want to give? Anything you want to say to, I guess the tens of people watching at home, or anything else? Anything I may have missed that you want to talk about?
No, I guess shout out to Shopify and their team. They've got a great team, and I think we managed to get lucky this week. We may not get as lucky the next time we play each other. We had a lot of fun this week. Shout out to the CEA for putting together and organizing this and all the hard work behind the scenes that goes into making all of this happen.
Absolutely. And yeah, thank you so much for hopping into a call with me, taking the time to talk about your team, talk about your charity, all that fun stuff. Best of luck for the rest of the season, whether you go far, whether it's just for fun, like you said. But regardless, thank you so much. And we're gonna hop into our interview with the other captain right after this.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Here we are. All right, we're back with the second team here. The captain of Shopify himself, Aleph Not. Great series. Unfortunately, you all did find yourself the short end of the stick this time. But
yep. Well played by the other team. They played really well.
Yeah, no, they absolutely did. Now, this was the first week we got to see Zero in action. Now, I'm new to the CEA. I'm new to After Hours Gaming League stuff, but I was told that this was a match with considerable hype and absolutely worth it. I mean, he played incredibly well in game number 1. He's probably the highest MMR player in the CEA. So, what's the story with that? Was he just debuting in the final week of Swiss stage? Was that it just took him that long to get into the team and get set up at Shopify? Because I believe he was with Amazon prior, correct?
Yeah, this week was his first week with Shopify.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when he left Amazon, I immediately started trying to recruit him, and then he ended up getting the job. But it took him a while to start. And we were like, the instant he starts, we're gonna put him in the roster. So
that's very fair. So Shopify turning rapidly into the Starcraft team. You got TLO. Are we gonna see him? Are we gonna get to see him play at some point, or is that a different?
No, that would just be silly. No, of course not.
Actually, I hear your CEO plays Starcraft. Is fairly good at the game too, but
he's like Diamond 3.
Yeah.
I mean,
still better than
yeah.
So
I love that he has passion for Starcraft. That's really sick.
Yeah, very, very, very cool. Those with the scene, it's really cool. But so you all dropped down to 2 and 3, this week at the end of the Swiss stage.
Yeah.
Next week, or when we move on to the next group, we're going to be moving into bracketed groups based off score. And this probably puts you not in the highest group. I haven't taken a look at the standings after that. I don't know exactly how they're going to be bracketed out at the moment.
Yeah.
What are your? Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I forgot that was a thing. So,
I was gonna ask, what are your goals for this season, and how does the end of the Swiss stage, how does that affect that, if it does at all?
I'm gonna check the standings 1 second, because our goal, we generally don't put in our best rosters or try super hard in the season just to make sure everyone's having fun, and then we try really hard once it gets to playoffs. And I believe the playoffs are 16 teams, and we're still in the top 16, so we don't really care. So I mean, like, depending on how it's bracketed, I'm guessing it's brackets of 4. Then we'll be in a bracket where it's like 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th. I'm guessing. So no matter how we do in that group, we would end up in playoffs, right?
Probably. I don't know
So-
how it's going to work this season. So
Yeah, so we'll probably just continue putting in like whatever lineups and like trying YOLO builds, and then like get like some crappy seed for playoffs.
and then
And
run
then-
it all the way back. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll play against like a 2 or 3 seed, and then just pull out some really good builds. Like, we have some really good players who haven't played at all yet. So
Definitely excited to see that one.
yeah,
So how does you talk about, well, we want everyone to play in the regular season and then, maybe pull out our ace cards in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Based off that, how does preparation for your team work every week?
I mean, honestly, I would like it if we prepared more. We're all pretty busy, so like we might like talk about what we're gonna do, and then like maybe an hour before the match, people will hop on and like play a little bit. But honestly, there's not that much in playoffs. There tends to be a lot. Like, we scout the opponents and like try to figure out what's the most broken thing to do in this matchup on that map and stuff like that.
So I guess the question going off that though then is, I noticed that it was only Shopify that made use of the map swap. So it wasn't Juggernaut, it was Death Aura. Without going into too much detail, so you don't necessarily spoil things or spoil strategies, why did you all decide to make that map swap?
Most of the people, like I was saying, we put in a lot of like people who don't play that much in the regular season, so they don't really care too much about the maps. But like Zero was one of the people who would care about the map because he's like a GM player. So I just asked like, what map do you want? And he picked Death Aura, and I said, okay, we'll use the map swap on you. The only other thing that went into the decision was the only other map preference that anyone else had was Future Knights does not like Romanticide, because like I practice him a lot, and whenever we play on Romanticide, I do that really abusive like 6 minute 45 1-1 stim CS timing with the tanks behind the mineral wall, and he really freaking hates that. So he said, like, don't put me on Romanticide, I'm gonna get tank pushed, and anything else is fine.
Yeah, that's fair. That's why we do see a lot of the pro Zergs, at least. I mean, you see that mineral wall go down so fast, pretty much.
Yeah,
the minute the player gets
exactly.
taken.
You have to play around it from like minute 1. Spread creep there, mine out the minerals.
Yeah. So moving on. What's the story with your charity? I forget. First of all, what charity are you all supporting this season?
I believe it's the Against Malaria Fund. That's the one we usually use. And we choose that charity because it's a very highly rated effective charity in terms of quality adjusted life years saved per dollar donated. And that's something that we care a lot about. Using data-driven results to back what charities to donate to. Like, I personally donate a pretty fair amount to them because I think they're a really, really effective charity. But the chances that we win aren't that high, so it might not matter. But if we win, it would be really sick to get to donate to them.
I mean, you never know, and certainly I guess something good to work for. And I like how your company's ideals almost come through with your players and how you decide who you're supporting. So that's pretty cool.
Let me I don't know if like anyone who's watching this would care, but like Google effective altruism if you're curious about this. Effectivealtruism.org is like a really sick website with good resources about like how to do good in the world.
That is, I've never heard of that website. That's something I'm gonna have to look into, I think, with my limited PhD stipend. But so it goes. That being said, is there any shout outs you want to give? Anything I haven't asked about that you want to talk about before we wrap this interview up?
Not that I can think of.
Fair enough. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Best of luck with the rest of your season as you move on into groups, as you hopefully find a way on into playoffs. And with that wraps up this CEA, or this the CEA corporate season. We'll be back in about half an hour, 20 minutes, with the Collegiate series. But until then, this has been BeoMulf, If Not, Imagination, Microsoft versus Shopify. Thanks so much for showing up, for watching, and have a good one.
See ya.
So I work at Amazon. I'm actually part of the Ops Tech IT team, which is just like operations IT. Aside from that, I just pretty much game. I'm at home with my fiance and 4 cats, and taking care of our newborn son.
We are here today for the Corporate Esports Association Overwatch 2020 Spring Playoffs. It is going to be a spectacular day. I'm through most of it. Only does get one as the Blizzard comes out on the backside. T also going to find the Deadeye onto Specs on the high ground. Google has to press on the pedal to try and touch this point, and they're not! Oh, it comes up short. Amazon Fire Force will be able to take Volskaya Industries.
CEA to me is like an organization that pulls together a lot of these like top companies around the world. I think it's like a great team building function, and then also it's for a great cause. It's for charity.
And since 2 members showed up in the top lane, they're immediately going to go for the dive in the mid lane with the damage onto Pandoria. Going to be able to pick up the kill. Twice over for Apocalypse. Everyone else is going to be running for the hills. Nobody wants to be able to join in this fight. With the minions there, the Baron's still on everybody. This is going to be the grand finals for Team Amazon Stock Dip. They've got the money, $5,000 for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. They have secured it for themselves with a 3-0 victory.
Yeah, so like losing to Adobe was like pretty heartbreaking. I got like the 2nd place trophy in the mail. I'll see it like every day, and like it's like a reminder, like you have to do better. You always have to like somebody out there is better than you. Like you should always try to be the best. But like we're definitely gonna come back way stronger, way better. We don't want to drop another game during the season. We definitely don't want to lose in grand finals.
Adobe Illustrators taking this next map. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second iteration, to the second part of our broadcast this afternoon. It's going to be University of California, San Diego versus the University of Chicago for top billing in this collegiate bracketed series. Make sure all lobbies are set up correctly. But yes, this is the University of California, San Diego, UCSD, versus the indomitable University of Chicago. University of Chicago sitting at 2-2, I believe. Right, or they're not 2-2. They're right at the top of the table, actually. Chicago. There we go. 3-1, not 2-2. Got confused from the previous series. And UCSD, they have not fallen a single time this entire tournament. They're sitting there at 4-0. They have looked indomitable, with the one weakness, of course, being their 2v2 matchups. As that was the 2 maps they gave up in week number 3, and one of the 2 maps they gave up in week number 4. Everything else, they look peerless. And that makes sense, because, well, they have Vindicta as their ace player. Vindicta, of course, a professional player for Alpha X Esports. He regularly qualifies for DreamHack Winter, DreamHack Fall, the DreamHack online tournaments. He didn't qualify for King of Battles. That one was incredibly difficult to qualify into. But in general, anything NA-centric, he's there. He's doing good work. So it makes sense that he is just that super ace. Coming in now for UCSD. On the flip side, University of Chicago. Well, they're pretty good. They do good work. But maybe they're not. I mean, they have lost a series already in this season. And their goal has got to be take advantage of that potential weakness for UCSD. Win one of the 1v1s. Probably not beating Vindicta, but maybe beat but maybe beat Kandrew, where he joins the lobby. Maybe beat Kandrew there. Win the 2 1v1s and don't let it get to an ace match. Because, well, you can try. And there's always hope. But, I don't know. I would not like my chances going into an ace match against a professional level player.
All right, players, they're ready for this match number 1. Pancakes had a minor MMR advantage, but again, this is a preparation-based matchup. Actually, one thing I need to check. Well, there are many things I would need to check, but the one here is, I believe this was a map swap. No, it wasn't. Oxide. So map number 2 was the map swap. Okay. So it looks like, so when we talk about map swaps here, there was only one map swap that was used for this week, and that was Jagannatha to swap in Jagannatha for 2,000 atmospheres, which is a TLMC 14 map that I have not seen. It's again, it's one of the maps that did not make its way on into the pool, and that was done by University of Chicago. So it's going to be interesting to see there whether they have something special lined up for Vindicta in the next map. But we should probably at first talk about, well, the players that are in this map number 1. So let's get there. And here we are, spawning in the upper right, in the red, representing the one, the only, the University of Chicago. It's Pancakes. And his opponent in the bottom right, in the blue for University of California, San Diego, it's Matame. Well, also known as Kandrew. But I guess he's feeling a little bit weebish in this season, so. Or, I don't know, maybe it's an alt account. Whatever the case may be. He's going by Watame, even if his name is Kandrew. So this is, of course, going to be a PvP, where things can be rather explosive, and they will be sooner rather than later, because, well, this is a specific building. It's called a forge. It allows you to build cannons on your opponent on the other side of the map, in your opponent's base, and to just make them very sad. And this is actually a pretty good cannon map. Now, what I do like here, actually, this is pretty cool. So we do have another probe on the map, so it's good. It's not going to be too big of a deal. But we do have Pancakes does a great job of walling the one probe on into the main base. And notice he's sending in a second probe out there to make sure that, hey, there are no cannons here, right? Well, he just barely misses the timing. And he will not see it until just now. Okay, there we go. We have the cannons going down. Cannon on the high ground as well. And this is scary situations, dire straits here for our red Protoss player. He really doesn't have a lot. He's not going to be able to reverse cannon rush. And sure, there's nothing on the high ground, but the cannon on the low ground will be able to free fire regardless. And if the cannon is done before the Zealot's going to go down, well, the Zealot, I don't believe the Zealot's going to be able to take this pylon now before being targeted down itself. But maybe with a second Zealot that's going to come out here, it's possible. But I think we do very clearly have our opponent waiting. Because you know what? No, actually, I'm going to cancel. Okay, never mind. The Zealot goes out, but now it's time for Stalkers, because Stalkers can actually deal with this, especially once they get rid of the high ground pylon. There just will not be range. I don't believe. Yeah, so this Stalker, the second Stalker should get out, but then the wall will be gone. And behind this, of course, we do have a gateway. So you have Cybercore behind this. We do have double gas, although only one is mining at the moment. And Kandrew is going to be ready to really just cause some shenanigans, cause some havoc, but move on into the mid game. This is not all that committed of a cannon rush. But this is a pressure build. This is him trying to be annoying, do what he can. And yeah, so now we do have Pancake Series. Okay, the high ground pylon is the problem. Once I take that out, well, the cannons can't hit me unless the probe goes high ground, and then I kill it rather quickly. And so this cannon rush is now mostly done. Mostly over with. Now the probe's going to go to that point where it barely can see. But with the lack of a shield battery, I mean, the probe will eventually go down. But we just have more and more cannons here. And I almost feel like, well, I don't know. I feel like this is maybe just a little bit of an overcommitment here for Kandrew, as the rush is done. Realistically, the rush is going to get nothing else done. So we do have a robo, we have a gateway on the way here. We're going to see an immortal, and we're going to see a rather scary push behind this. And now we do have the Starcraft. They're going to go down. The probe should get targeted down. And now these cannons are here. And they're scary, absolutely. But, I mean, the Stalkers can just hit them with impunity. the Stalkers will be able to kill all of this off before the, well, I'd be able to kill at least one cannon off before the shield battery completes. I believe they'll be able to get the second as well. And all of this is a massive commitment here for really no gain. And Kandrew going from a position where he was probably in a pretty good one. I mean, he was able to kill a, well, I don't even think he was in that great of a position, to be honest. I mean, sure, he was able to kill off the one gateway, but we now have we have 3 gateways on the map, 4th one on the way. Robo is done, and now a warp person moving across the map. Really, Pancake's not interested in giving Watame any room here whatsoever. Interested in giving Kandrew any room to establish a better position in this game, and Kandrew's aware of this. We do have shield battery on the way. Robo halfway done, but a halfway done does not count. As well, a warp gate is on its way, but on its way is not good enough. Now with all the Stalkers here, but what I will say is the probes are pretty good against Stalkers, but that's not going to be enough. And there we have it. GG Pancakes takes game number 1. So that needed to happen for University of Chicago to have a chance in that game. They had to win game number 1, and they were able to do so. Pancakes holding that cannon rush with aplomb. Kandrew just committing to it a little bit too hard, but a little bit too slowly. It was that middle ground of, I want to get stuff at home, but I also really want to commit to the cannons and to gateways and whatever. And because he just kind of did a little bit of each, he was unsuccessful. He was not successful with either. So now we're moving on to game number 2. This is going to be Vindicta versus, this up in front of me, Vindicta versus Yo-Yo. Which realistically, I mean, Yo-Yo is a good player. He's 4.8 KZ, but when you look at the difference, well, gotta say, okay, there we have the lobby. It's going to be Jagannatha for map number 2. No, it's not. Wait, isn't it? Yeah, it is Jagannatha for map number 2. And it's going to be Vindicta versus Yo-Yo. Vindicta, very clearly the favorite here. Sitting at about 1,200 MMR higher than his opponent. And, Yo-Yo is a good player. I mean, he's Masters 1. He's upper edge. I mean, that's a very good player. It looks like we're going to remake on Central. But again, it's a scary situation. Now, this is a preparation-based format. This is a preparation-based league format. It is very possible for players that are far below their opponent's skill level in a ladder situation, right? Oh, if we're just going to play each other and know nothing about each other, yeah, we're going to struggle. But if you're able to prepare all week, you're able to say, this is the map I'm on, this is the player I'm against. Let me figure something out. You can make up for a lot. You can make up for a lot of skill. We saw about 1,000 MMR difference go the way of the lower MMR player last broadcast when we were doing Shopify versus Microsoft B. In Microsoft B, the massive underdogs, they had one of their players who was, I think, it was about 4K versus 5K or 3.8 versus 4.8, something like that. So again, preparation can absolutely carry the day. All right, so game number 2 is now getting ready to go underway here on Jagannatha. Vindicta versus Yo-Yo. Of course, wow. UCSD down 1-0. I'm keep thinking Alpha X is down 1-0 because both their captain and their star player both play for Alpha X, but no. UCSD down 1-0, but this is the best of 5, and they definitely have the ringers they need to come back here. But hey, let's get into it. And here we are, spawning in the upper right, in the yellow. For UCSD, he's Vindicta. And his opponent in the bottom right, bottom left, In the blue, up 1 game in this best of 5, it's Yo-Yo for University of Chicago. And I'm kind of interested to see what we're going to see here, because of course, this is again, we've been talking about this a little, this is a preparation-based format. That means that you have the opportunity to study your opponent's replays, and Vindicta arguably has some of the most replays available of any player in this league, between his pro play and the fact that he has played 6 total games in this Swiss stage thus far. As UCSD, they are undefeated, but they have gone to ace match in the last 2 weeks, which has forced Vindicta to play 2 games, which means that he played a grand total of 6 games thus far, because he played every week. So there's a decent amount of stuff available to our blue Zerg player to study, to try to understand, to maybe make something up, figure something out. But of course, even if you do spot a weakness in your opponent's play, well, you have to be strong enough to be able to defend, to be able to deal with it. And that's the question we're going to be asking ourselves as we go on into this game. Now, from experience, Vindicta, well, actually, to be fair, that was on ESL Open Cup. That was, he knew he was going to beat me. So I was going to say, Vindicta just, when he knows he's better than his opponent, he just goes for the stock standard. I'm just going to kill you with what I'm going to do every game, and I'm just going to make no mistakes. Nothing crazy, no jank all in, something like that. And I think that's what we're going to see here this game as well. I mean, we do have a Reaper expand, so definitely not any sort of one base, no proxy, nothing like that. But the big deal is, so he's just going to go up, going to go up to 3 bases, go up to 5 barracks, maybe do 8 racks all in. It's pretty powerful. Is something wrong with the music, Ballad? I hear nothing wrong on my end, and everything seems to be going properly for watching OBS. But anyway, now we have the Reaper doing what it can. It's going to get one Zergling already. And actually, I'm going to be able to deny this 3rd base as well, so that's annoying. Yo-Yo's now going to take the triangular 3rd, but that just opens him up to really annoying drop harass later on. But he has to spend the money. He's not paying attention to the probe at the moment because the Reaper's getting a lot done. Reaper has gotten, 4 kills already. What is that? 2 Zerglings, a drone, and creep. So this is not a good situation for Yo-Yo in the slightest. Now we do see him. He's learned a little bit. He says, okay, my queens are going to push out. I'm going to make it so no Reaper can get on and take care of this. But anyway, now we just, Yo-Yo, he's droning up. We're not going to, just 1 out of 3. So we're going to see no crazy 2-base Muta, no 2-base Roach, no fast Slayer into a Nidus, nothing like that. Stock solid 3-base play, which really, this is most likely going to be in Vindicta's wheelhouse here. So it looks like he's going into Hellion Banshee behind this. Just trying to get something done. I mean, there is an opportunity for battle cruisers maybe, but no, I don't think so. There we go, the Hellion, but there's the Banshee on the way, Cloak on the way. And now what we're going to see here is Vindicta, he's going to do what he can to try to target queens down, to get as much damage on them as possible, and every point of damage he's able to do to these queens, it makes the Banshee more effective later on. Because of course, queens, they are important to shoo the Banshees off. And if the queens are relatively low on HP, that's a lot harder for them to do that. But again, we also don't see the Hellions. We don't see the Reaper being too aggressive here, because you do want to conserve HP for when the Banshees are on the way, as that is a relatively powerful unit combination. So Cloak halfway done, Stim 25% of the way done. So this will be bio behind this. We're not going to see something crazy from Vindicta here. Not on map number 2. We had some on the ace match, but not right now. And now we have, Reapers and Hellions dancing around looking for what they can. With Banshee on the right-hand side. So Reapers and Hellions, they will dive in here. Be able to get 2 workers rather quickly and just dive out. Zerglings are going to do what they can to cut them off, but that's not really going to be useful. And now we have the Hellion, or the Banshee on the right-hand side. Cloak is just about done. Luckily for our blue Zerg, well, there is a Spore, and he's remembered to put Spores in the mineral line, so this Banshee shouldn't get a whole lot done. Not with the Queen position, not with the Spore here. So this Banshee's not going to get a whole lot done. He will be able to get 1 drone. But now the question, of course, is what are we going to see on... actually, now it's actually going to get some decent damage here. As the Spore will get targeted down as well. A Banshee. Yeah, okay, but cancel on the kill. That is very weird. Okay, second Banshee will go down, and that is a little bit of miscontrol there from Vindicta, just rallying one on top of the other. And Yo-Yo, I mean, he's not a great spot, but he's not a terrible spot. He does not want to keep taking damage from this Banshee. The Banshee with 5 kills already. And the Hellions really, though, not able to get a ton done. All right, so Lair is done. We have Evo Chambers on the way. So 1-1 is not going to be too poorly timed compared to our Terran player. And a 4th base has gone down. So Yo-Yo, he's in a pretty good spot, getting up to 60 workers just about now. Although Hellion, that may go down rather quickly. So now the Hellions, they're going to dive in, but nice around there on all the Zerglings. Ballad, I'm going to guess what happened there is maybe some sort of CPU lag. So some issue with your audio driver. But anyway, not really sure. So okay, now we do have three base saturation almost up and running here. There's much more Zergling is on the way. Zergling speed or Baneling speed just about done, and this is going to be a Zergling Baneling focused composition here. As we see no gas on the third quite yet, we see no Spire, nothing like that. Yo-Yo says, I'm just going to spam Zerglings, I'm going to spam Banelings. Actually, he's looking like he wants to be a little bit aggressive here. Now, that's not really going to be all that successful. It's 1-1 just about done, and the majority of our Zerg army is not where it needs to be. Yo-Yo, he's got his economy up, absolutely. I mean, sitting here on 66 workers, but the thing is, I think, yeah, there we go. Macro Hatch on the way. He does not have the larva quite yet to match his economy. So then we see him sitting at a decent bank for the moment. One queen will go down here, and of course you don't want to lose queens because it's kind of that situation that you deal with as a Zerg player. But once you lose your creep queens, you don't always replace them. Now we do have this 1-1 double medevac here, stemming on into the 4th base. Going to be able to shave off some workers as Yo-Yo is just waiting for his army to get here. And a nice target there, target fire from Vindicta. Decent amount of Banelings will go down for really just about nothing. 4 workers go down for Yo-Yo. And he's been pretty heavily supplied locked. So now going for the laser strat. 10 overlords at a time. He's just going to max out on overlords here. Says, you know what? Okay, I got everything I need to do. And now we do have Vindicta doing what he can, but against Speed Banes, off creep. On garage, I should say on creep. That's, I don't care how good your micro is. You're really not gonna. You're gonna struggle to make that happen. We do have a drop here on the left-hand side. It's just going to go on into the main base, and it looks like there's nothing here to defend as of yet. As the fight on the 4th base is the terrifying one. I shouldn't say terrifying, it's only 2 medevacs. But anyway, the point is, that's the one that's occupying most of the attention. Axis Drop says, no, we don't need the main. We're just going to deny the 5th base. And that's a worthwhile trade because Vindicta has his 4th base just about done. So this drop is going to go back onto the 4th base, and Vindicta, he's just tearing Yo-Yo apart. Says, you know what, I can just, if I attack in 2 places at once, you probably don't have the APM to deal with that. And he would most likely be right now. Now Yo-Yo is realizing what Vindicta's doing, and now Vindicta's just dropping 1 Marine at a time, eating up all the Baneling shots. Now we have the drop now on into the main base as well. Vindicta just everywhere at once. These 2 drops doing so much damage that Widowmine's going to go off pretty nicely as well. Not the biggest connections, but you know. And we've got this other drop finding its way in. And Vindicta, he's just dropping every base at once. We have a drop on the 4th base, 14 workers go down, targeting down a couple of Banelings before backing up. We have this drop on top of the 4th base as well. I think I call this the 4th, but technically this is the 3rd. And Yo-Yo, he's doing what he can. And interestingly enough, both players have forgotten their carapace, or forgotten their armor. So maybe that's something Yo-Yo, it's not necessarily in his favor, but it's not to his detriment. Because he's forgotten armor as well. And now we just have Yo-Yo desperately rebuilding workers, but 21 workers have gone down. And now we have the army of Vindicta moving across the map. And Vindicta, or Yo-Yo, he's taken so much damage. He's never been allowed to get to that 70-80 worker count that you would so want, that you so desire as a Zerg player, especially when you're playing Ling Bane. So now he's down half the army supply of his opponent. Liberators all sieged up, Widowmines all burned up, and we have this round going and doing what it can. Nice Widowmine draws, to be totally honest. This is the best possible fight that our Zerg player could have hoped to take, but he's still down 60. He's still down 60 total supply. And as good of a fight as that was, as effective as that was with the Liberators here, with the Banelings here, with everything else, well, Vindicta is still sieging up. He has tanks. He has 2-1 Marines, plus 2 attackers just barely finished. And now the siege is commenced. The fourth base is terrifying, and there's just nothing to do with these Liberators. The Queens are down, and those Widowmine shots are going to be incredible. Nothing of Vindicta is going to die. And Yo-Yo, he's going to follow Vindicta. He's going to take game number 2 for his team. And we move into the 2v2s, tied up 1-1. So given the situation, massive shout out there to Yo-Yo. He looked good. No one expected him to win against Vindicta, but he looked good. He did his, I mean, absolutely more power to him. I don't know if every player, Zerg player of his caliber, would be able to play a game of that level. But now we're getting ready to move on to the 2v2s, and we're going to see some players that we have not yet seen. All right, so map number 3 will be on Rascallion, and this is a bigger map from a 2v2 perspective. It has a fairly easy to take natural for both sides. The fish. Anyway, this is a bigger map. It has a relatively easy to take natural for both sides. Does not necessarily have the third base is a little bit scarier. Let me see, like pull up what our race matchups are here. Yeah. All right, so we're waiting for players to restart. For all that to happen, Matfist has joined the lobby. There we go. Tradition Matfist versus Pancakes Yo-Yo. Tradition, of course. So it's going to be PZ versus TZ here on this map, which is interesting, just considering how difficult it is to take a third base. But 2v2 is a little bit weird in that, sure, the Zerg needs a third base, but what you see a lot of in these matchups is you see the non-Zerg player feed the Zerg just all the gas they have. As much gas as possible so they can get into mutas ASAP and own the map and allow the other player to expand. We might see some mutamech or something. So now we're just waiting to get, probably maybe not lean too close to that camera. It looks like my green screen is triggering off of my, my green screen is triggering off my sport kit, my blazer today. It normally doesn't do that. Now our players are ready. We'll be on Rascallion for game number 3. Of course, the series, it's tied up 1-1. But this is our first 2v2 match, and this is where we expect to see UCSD show a little bit of weakness in this map and the following. And this is where UFC absolutely have to win if they have a hope in this series. They have a hope to slingshot themselves to the top of the matchup. But our players, they're loaded in to this map number 3. So let's get into it.
Game paused.
I lied. They're ready, but perhaps not quite ready, not yet, as we have a pause as things go. Hold up. We're going to see what's going on with that. All right, looks like there's an issue with game scroll. I'm not sure what he means by that. Does he mean... But anyway, it looks like Matfist is having some issues, so he's going to restart the client. and we're gonna go from there. We will of course not feel the need to resume from replay here, as literally 1 second had passed. So it looks like Matfus edge scrolling wasn't working. That's not a bug I'm familiar with. Yeah, so looks like we had the console bug showing up, which is or edge scroll wasn't working, but also the console bug, which means that you just get this cornea destroying console shows up that shows up on your screen, and that's not all that great. But anyway, it looks like all right, so we had a player, we had someone joining off of one of the UFC players who's actually not playing for them. So, where are the Devil Forks? Blitz, I don't go to ASU anymore. No pitchforks. There we go. All right, ready. We're all good. We're all ready there. And Pincher, well, he's been pried loose, and hopefully he's going to show up in watching this stream instead. So that's going to be fine. As now, nice Blitz. Now we're ready. We're going to go on to Rascallion LE once again. This time, hopefully, our players are going to be able to keep playing in it. That's going to be nice. It's going to be happy. That does not fix that. Absolutely not. But here we are. And the players, they're loaded in, and of course my hotbar is always wrong. So, but that is fine. Players, they're loaded into Rascallion for this game number 3. Let's get into it. And here we are, spawning in the bottom right, in the green, representing University of Chicago. It's Yo-Yo. And his partner in the purple, the lover of breakfast foods and everything syrupy, it's Pancakes. And their opponents on the other side of the map in the pink, it's Tradition. And rounding out this impressive lot in the red, finalizing the team for the University of Chicago, he's the Terran, he's Matfus. So of course the question is, this begs the question, what are we going to see in this 2v2? 2v2 does not have quite nearly as settled of a meta as we see in 1v1. And the argument can be made that, yeah, okay, there are things. There is mech toss or mech sky toss, and that's a thing. That's something people do. Or mutafeeds, that's a thing. That's a lot of people do. But because there are so many combinations, it's not quite as not gonna say balanced, but not quite as figured out, because there are just so many more matchups, and less people play it in general as well. So it's gonna be interesting to see what our players have in store for us here as well. And again, I apologize. There's no way to swap this, and for some reason my overlay is always wrong. So these are the bottom. This is bottom right. This is upper left, even though it should be the other way around. That being said, I'm interested to see what our players are going to have in store for us here. I do feel that that our green and purple team do have to win this match, and then Chicago in general is going to have to win the next match as well if they want to win this series, because they are within striking distance of first place. Absolutely, they are 3-1. UCSD is 4-0. 4-0. So if both teams go to 4-1, well, Chicago would absolutely have the tiebreaker. So it would be pretty good for them. But yeah, again, they do have to win these matches. They do not want to go against Vindicta, against a 6K player in the ace match, and hope to win. I mean, it's possible, but it is not probable. So what do we have here? We have a Stargate coming in from our purple Protoss player. Did that one 5 times fast. You know, purple Protoss player. Anyways, I do expect to see Phoenixes out of this, and this is something I've seen before, specifically for Zerg Protoss matchups, where you go Phoenix Muta, and it's kind of interesting, because it's not exactly something you would expect to work, because the Mutas and Phoenix, they kind of do the same thing, but it does work out on the flip side precisely because they do the same thing. They give you so much map control. But it looks like that's not what we're going to see here, as we do have at least one Void Ray on the way. The Bailing Nest on the way as well, but I'm not going to put too much stock into that as an all-in, not quite yet, because when you see Zergs on the other, Zergs on both sides, or when it's a 2v2 matchup and there's Zerg on both sides, the Zergs will get aggressive against each other. It is too tempting, it is too easy to perhaps go and get something done, to move across the map with Lingbane and hope that you can just maybe knock your opponent, your Zerg opponent out pretty fast, and then it's a 2v1, and that just becomes a little bit scary. So I think that's what we're going to see here. Nice first, but these are just going to be some defensive banelings. Well, as I say that is a lot of Zerglings on the way here. But I guess that is probably just to defend things, as he did catch sight of the Zerglings that are attacking his third base, and the Zerglings moving across the map. But that is something that he does have to be aware of. And with the Void Rays on the way, I mean, this is going to time out eventually. Void Rays, okay, the Vapor's going to go down. Now, the Void Ray, sure, that doesn't kill Zerglings fast, but it does kill Zerglings. And now we do have the green Zergling army moving across the map. And this is a pretty interesting Zergling fighting position, because this is just such a wide open middle of the map here. So plenty of room for the teams to maneuver. Behind this, we have a Roaches on the way here. So this is not going to be Muta shenanigans. No, this is going to be Ling Roach pressure that is going to allow our pink or our purple Protoss player to get some aggression in, to move up to that Fleet Beacon that he so desperately wants. And from there, carriers maybe, mass voids, all of these things are valid. So what do we have on the other side of the map? Lair on the way, maybe a little bit faster, +1 melee on the way, so we're going to see Roach Ravager, Roach Hides, or something like that. And Bio as well, so we do have, let's see, Matvis playing a fairly mobile style. The Roach is coming in, maybe not quite as much. So there is that. Okay, the drop moving its way across the map here. And there are Void... Oh, this is rather cool. So this is not what I thought it was. But we do now have a mothership on the way. So we're gonna see a Roach mothership Void Ray attack. I think that's what we're gonna see here. And that is really cool. So now we do have a drop here moving on its way on the left-hand side. There should be enough Void Rays to defend against this. Where are the Void Rays though? Yeah, there we have the Void Rays moving in on the left-hand side. And they're just going to be able to target that down rather quickly. That drop's really not going to be able to get in. On the flip side, all the Zerglings that are green Zerg made, really not going to be able to get a whole lot done. And interestingly enough, we do see the fourth base here will be taken by the Zerg player. Is it probably because it can defend it maybe a little bit more easily than the Protoss player? Maybe that's going to be a feed, because, man, there is not a good base for our purple player to take at this point. I mean, he could probably have taken this pretty defensively. And Zerg maybe could have defended this base as well. But because Zerg took the 3 o'clock base, now that it's going to be rather difficult for Protoss to expand off of 2 bases. So now we do have a bunch of Marines, a bunch of Zerglings running their way in, but this is a lot of Void Rays. And a decent amount of Roach Bane. So I don't know that our Terran player can find his way in. But we do have more and more army moving across the map here. And this drop will find this 4th base. And now with it will force a cancel. But all these roaches are just going to go down. Void Rays are, in fact, pretty powerful units. But they will be forced back as the stim bio is there. But while Mothership Core, it's just about done. +1 air is just about done as well. And I think we're hitting a point where Yo-Yo and Pancakes are going to be able to hit a pretty terrifying push. Now, the Void Rays, they're doing what they can to try to shark away, to try to kill off some of these medevacs, but actually really nice micro here from the Void Rays, which means the entirety of the Terran ground army dies, which means all this medevac is absolutely dead, which means the ground army of the Zerg is dead should it fail to run home. And now we have the Zerg army moving across the map here. Roach speed is only just now started, so that's not great. That's going to be, it looks like Roach Hydra versus Roach Hydra. Baneling Nest on the way, which is interesting. The Void Rays are getting tremendous work done. And now, so Zergling run by on top of this 3rd base from the Terran player. And now we have Roaches, we have Banelings, and this is actually a terrifying force here for Yo-Yo. Tradition just really doesn't have a lot. Now the Banelings are going to run in, try to do what they can to take out all the Zerglings, all the Hydras, and they will be able to do so. The Hydras, sure, the Hydras do survive just a little, but now with the Void Rays sitting on Overwatch, all he has to do is kill off the Hydras, kill off the Marines, and the Void Rays will go to town. Void Rays firing away at everything. And it looks like they're just maybe a little bit too much here for Yo-Yo and Pancakes, as the supplies of Mathras of Tradition are maybe just not quite there. The tanks going down, all the anti-heroes going down, and the Void Rays, they're reigning supreme. +1 range is done. And where's this Mothership? Mothership just sitting at home. It would be nice to have that on the field. I think if you have the Mothership here, this fight just absolutely wins for our purple and green player. But despite that, I mean, the Void Rays, they are dominant. The natural of our pink Zerg player did go down. It did die. And now we have lurkers on the way for green. Okay, the Mothership finally on its way, moving its way across the map. And that is a metric ton of Hydras, 18 Hydras on the way, as it looks like Pancakes decided to feed a little bit of gas to our green player. And now Yo-Yo Pancakes up. Yo-Yo sitting at 160 supply. All of a sudden, he just had a bunch of larvae and spent them into so many Hydras. So many Hydras. Now, okay, it looks like this expansion will be defended here, and we have the Void Rays. They're going to do what they can. 3rd base should go down here. Nice scan on top of that. So the Mothership will not keep everything alive. But while the 3rd base of our Terran player is under fire once again, and now the scan is done. Tanks are going down, and this is just Void Ray Disruptor as we wait for the Zerg player to max out, to get onto that Hydra count, get those Vipers that he needs to just absolutely terrify the pink and red army here. As well. Yo-Yo, he's just taking the map. Now we have a bunch of cloaked Hydras. I believe there are some Lurkers, nice Disruptor shots, just destroying the army of the Zerg here. And sure, there's a scan, but I'm not even sure how much that matters. As the Time Warp bubble goes down, the army of the Terran evaporates. The army of the Zerg is evaporating, and sure, there's a drop in the right-hand side. Sure, there are Zerglings on the right-hand side, but that doesn't matter, as the armies of Mathras and Tradition, they're going down. They're falling with great speed. And there is nothing much that they can do about it. 5,700, 157 army supply to 220. And what can Tradition do? The Disruptor shots are going to be massive. The cloak is wreaking havoc. There are just no more scans left. There's nothing here. And sure, there's one more scan, but there's just too much firepower even without the cloak. And there we have it. The GG Tradition Mathras, they're going to have to tap out. And Yo-Yo Pancakes, they're 1 game away from winning. Or I should say University of Chicago is 1 game away from taking this series, from putting themselves tied for the top of the table of the Collegiate, the Corporate Esports Association's Collegiate Division. And what do we have next? It's going to be Jimmy Matfest versus Maladroit Pancakes. And this is perhaps a slightly... This is probably closer to a UCSD match, favored matchup. As Maladroit, he's a platinum player. Hello, Boom Sauce. Sauce. BeoMulf. That is who I am. So, just sit here. Generally, I shut myself out at the end of things. But my name is BeoMulf. I generally I co-cast. It's BeoMulf. Generally, I co-cast with Steadfast for the Corporate Esports Association here. But while Steadfast, it's Canadian Thanksgiving, so he is with his family, with his friends. Waiting for that. Okay. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so it's just me, myself, and I, sitting here lonesome, casting some pretty great games thus far. I'm excited to see what we're gonna see for this. We got some crazy 2v2 matchups last week, and this one was a little bit more. I don't know. A little bit more one-sided thus far. It's 2-1. I mean, it's even, but each matchup has been kind of one-sided. So I'm hoping that we're going to see something else happen from there. But anyway, it should be pointed out that UCSD, they are the absolute favorites and pretty much a lock to win this series should Ace Match happen, as they have Vindicta. I mean, he's a top 8 DreamHack player, so Maladroit Pancakes are very interested in making sure that they win this 2v2. Take the series for their team in 3-1 UCSD, because it's going to be incredibly difficult for them should they go to Ace. That being said, this 2v2 matchup should be a little bit more even. Sweet Math, Fuss, both sitting in the diamond category. Pancakes, he's a Masters 1 player, and Maladroit, he's a platinum player. So you do have that 2 players roughly similar in skill and 2 players pretty far away in skill, but it kind of should meet in the middle. Apparently, Vindicta is enrolled at UCSD. Yes, Boom Sauce. But here we are. The players, they're loaded into Jacob's Summit for this map number 4. 2-1 in favor of the University of Chicago. Let's get into it. And here we are, spawning in the bottom left. Or upper left, in the pink for the University of San Diego, or University of California, San Diego. It's Sweet. And his partner in this madness, also Terran in the red, it's Matvis. And on the other side of the map, in the orange, the captain of the University of Chicago, it's Maladroit. And rounding out his team, rounding out this game in the blue, it's the blue Protoss, it's Pancakes. So we have PP versus TT, a true mirror matchup for the ages. And I don't think this is a 2v2 mirror matchup I've ever seen. I do a decent amount of 2v2 casting. I did a pro level 2v2 GSL style tournament a couple weeks ago on my Trovo channel. I was able to see stuff like that, but I don't think we saw a double Protoss mirror team in that. Yeah, no, we didn't. So I have no idea what this looks like. We may just see some crazy mass gateway, mass warp gate all in. I think the craziest, the zaniest thing, of course, was we have single gas from both of them. Double gate. So the same build coming out from both players, but of course the craziest thing, perhaps the coolest thing possible, would just be double proxy Void Ray. I feel like that is something that would actually work pretty well, because Void Rays snowball faster than the defenses to Void Rays do. Because of course Void Rays can just jump on top of, like, if it's 2 Cyclones, 2 Void Rays just jump on top of that and kill it. The way the Void Ray DPS scales and the way Shield Battery DPS or health scales makes that makes that pretty advantageous for the Protoss player, but that's not what we're going to see here, as we do have both Protoss players expanding pretty quickly. And this is just mirrored to a T. The Stalkers coming out a little bit later for Pancakes than they are for Maladroit, or a little bit faster, I should say. But now we do have a task force of 4 Stalkers moving its way across the map, doing what it can. But I guess they're just going to scout at the moment. We do have a Reaper now on the way. Stalker Pancakes should be able to shoot it off with minimal issue. Now, it is interesting when we talk about mirrored builds, because that is not what we see from our double Terran players. And this does make sense, because in general, what I've seen. Ooh, so now we have a quick third bait. These are insanely fast third bases here from Pancakes, from Maladroit, taking them before 3 minutes against a double Terran team that they really have not scouted all that much. And it looks like we're gonna see some pressure coming. What is this? 3 barracks. 3 barracks and eBay coming in from Sweet, and more standard 1-1-1. Well, 2-1-1 coming in from Mathvis. So we're gonna see some aggression sooner rather than later here for our from our Terran players. But now Pancakes, he's on the aggressive. He says, I have 3 Stalkers. You actually cannot micro against this all that easily, and the natural that has been built on location will get delayed for quite a while. Now there are 6 Stalkers versus 8 Marines. And yeah, that's not a good thing. Okay, so this natural command center does need to be delayed, and it will. How is that even fair? Sitting there at like 99 out of 100 completion. So now we do have these 6 Stalkers. They're on the other side of the map. They are going to be able to deny. Actually, yeah, they force a cancel here on this low ground command center, and they force they force our our pink Terran player to not be able to do anything. Meanwhile, the Protoss players, they have 3 bases. They're sitting here on a pretty decent drone, pretty decent probe counts. Charges on the way, and we're just going to see mass gateway charge. And you know what? Considering the lack of a splash, considering this is just mass barracks builds, I absolutely love this. We see a bunch of Marauders on the way as well, and mass charge lot against Marauders against mass barracks units is really good. So let's see. The third bases are not quite mining quite yet, but I mean they're close enough. Maladroit sitting here. Okay, worker counts are just about the same. It's just a question of where mining is coming from. As you notice, I mean, there's only 1 gas for both of these players. This is just getting up to full mineral saturation ASAP, getting charge done ASAP before 5 minutes, and just smash. The goal is to just smash the Terrans with just ludicrous amounts of zealots. Absolutely ludicrous amounts of zealots. And how many gateways do we have here now? 4 gates, 3 more on the way, 6 gates, 1 more on the way. And there's a Stargate on the way here for Pancakes as well. So that is interesting. Actually, I think this is the trap build that we've seen where generally he goes Phoenix into charge lot, but in this case, we're just going to see charge lot into Phoenix, which isn't that bad because, again, these charge lot builds are incredible against aggressive Terrans. You just wait for the Terran to attack into you, and then you go and you just attack with you swallow them up with a bunch of charge lots. As the now Pancakes, Maladroit, both sitting here with pretty decent army supplies. The flank has been set up, and now the Terran's looking to move down the ramp here, but we do have the army of Pancakes on the right-hand side, and now we do have the engagement coming in from every side. Charge going on. This is a Pancake here for Maladroit. Everything is just going to die. There's too many charge lots. Everything is going to get swallowed up, and sure, there's a 1 metavic drop going on into the natural that will eventually get cleaned up, and now we do have Phoenix on the way here for Pancakes. And, you know, he doesn't necessarily have the gas for it quite yet. He has taken that 2nd gas. But this was disastrous here for Matfist, for Maladroit, for Sweet. And it's looking, Chicago, they're looking pretty good in this game. This match charge lot style that they have gone for perfectly counters what Sweet with Matfist are going for with their all-in mass barracks styles that they were going for, with no splash, with no tanks, with no Widow Mines. With nothing of that sort. So this drop is dealing a decent amount of damage done on Maladroit, and you do notice that Matvis has decided to target Maladroit, has decided to target the theoretically weaker player. As of course Maladroit, he is platinum, at least on this server, at least on this account. Whether he is a bit higher level somewhere else is, well, unknown. Because these Zealots are in pretty good position, so this drop will get cleaned up one way or the other. Yeah, so the one Phoenix doing good work. And this drop's just going to go down without being able to drop anything else. And now, with no pressure on the map, Maladroit, Pancakes, they're in an excellent position. That's interesting. Okay, never mind. That was canceled. Just say, interesting going Glaives. I don't know how I feel about that, but, you know, these are the players. I'm just a caster. But now we do have Maladroit, Pancakes sitting at a combined 220 supply to the 130 total supply of our Terran players. So I would not be surprised to see them move across the map sooner rather than later. What do we have? Double Forge here coming for Maladroit. He wants to just get upgrades. And looks like we're just going to have Charge Lot, Archon, Phoenix coming in from Pancakes. So map control from Pancakes, oomph for Maladroit. There we go. Storm on the way as he has taken all of his gases at this point. And now we do have going up to 5 Phoenixes, maybe more. I don't know. It looks like we have the army of Sweet once again, army of Sweet Mathfist once again, looking to see what they can do. UCSD's last hope, doing what they can, moving across the map, and trying to get some damage done. Now this is a 2-base Terran versus a 3-base Protoss, 3-base double Protoss for double Terran. At 8 minutes into the game, we do need to see a 3rd base from these players sooner rather than later if they look to hold. But if they look to have a chance in this game, but it's not looking great. Now, there are a bunch of Widow Mines on the map here, so that is something that could be terrifying. Could be rather useful, but look, okay, actually, I really like this. We do see the Widow Mines on the upper side to be able to deal with the flank here. It does not look like that's what we're going to see, as we do see one Zealot moving in. 1 or 2 Zealots just doing what they can to bait out everything, and now we have the Widow Mines going in. The Storm is done, and the army of our Terran player is evaporating. Sure, he's storming his own Zealots too, but doesn't even matter, as the Charge Lots finding their way on top of everything. The Widow Mines doing what they can to burrow, and sure, there's going to be some nice connections, but I'm not sure it matters. And actually, the Ghosts, nice EMPs as well, but the army is just dying. The Charge Lots, they are swarming here, and everything is dying. Maladroit, Pancakes on the aggression, looking to continue this momentum on into a week number 5 victory, doing what they can, finding themselves at the top of the table as Sweet, as Mathis, doing what they can, but I fear that that is not enough. It is not enough at all, as now we do have Pancakes, Maladroit. They have breached the base, they have breached the main, they have breached the net, or really only the natural here, forcing a lift on the natural command center of Matfist. Sure, Sweet is allowed to mine for the moment, but he is one man against the world, as Matfist unfortunately has been pretty much taken out of this game. And now we have a warp in here onto the main base, as Sweet, well, he's not going to be allowed to mine much at all either. And his Warp Prism has very little health on it, but just enough health. Charge Lots everywhere. 1-1 just about done for Maladroit as well, as the 3rd base, or I should say the natural here of Sweet going down as well. There we have it, DG, University of Chicago. They're going to take it. And University of Chicago taking UCSD 3-1. Finding their way to the top of the table, exploiting that weakness that we identified earlier on, where UCSD, they have their terrifying ringer, but it takes more than one player. It takes more than one player to win a tournament. It takes more than one player to win a team league, and that is exactly what happens here, as University of Chicago played David to University of California, San Diego's Goliath, and slays them 3-1. So we're going to go to a quick break. And when we're back, we're going to interview players from both sides. I believe it's going to be a player from University of Chicago and probably the captain from UCSD. But we will figure that out. And when we're back, we're going to have some interviews. It's going to be a good time. And we're back. Hello, everyone. Welcome, Yo-Yo. Yo-Yo, one of the dominant members of this University of Chicago team that actually just took out the #1 team in the CEA Collegiate Division 3-1. Congratulations, my man.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a great series, and I felt we played really well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was pretty impressive. So I guess starting out, you had to play Vindicta in the in your first game of the day. That cannot have been
Yep.
easy.
No, it wasn't. I mean, obviously, I knew Vindicta was a great player. I did not come into it with any expectation of winning. I was just like, have fun, try my best, but we were relying on the other games.
Yeah, that makes sense. So did you take any time to dedicate to to preparing for Vindicta at all, or is it just like, okay, this is gonna be a loss. I'm gonna take my time. I'm gonna study the 2v2, and that's what I'm gonna focus on this week.
I mean, I didn't prepare like very much for it. A few days ago, I played versus 2 Archon Terrans in our at UChicago. We figured, 2 5K Terrans Archoning should be maybe a 6K Terran, something like that. So, but yeah, not much more than that.
Yeah, fair enough. So you're 3-1. You're now at 4-1. 4-1. You're probably at the top of the table. I don't know how tiebreakers work, but pretty close to it. If you're not, at the very least, you're tied for first place. What are your goals as the season progresses? Is this we're gonna punch hardcore to win, or just we're doing well? We're doing well,
Yeah, I think we're gonna go a bit down the middle. We're not like dedicating every day to practice or anything like that, just maybe once or twice a week as a team. But yeah, obviously we'd like to go as far as we can. We're just trying to be reasonable that balancing academics and Starcraft.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're a bit down the middle.
I absolutely get that one. I cast and I probably don't have time to do what I'm doing, but it's fine. PhD can take second. So following up on that, you say you practice maybe once or twice a week, whatever the case may be. How does that work for you? Is there this big club? I mean, how does Starcraft at UChicago look for you all?
So we have a mix of current students and alums, and the alums love getting together with us just to play a few games, whether that's team games, practice 1v1s, Archons, anything like that. So yeah, we just spend a few hours together, just discussing the game, having fun.
Yeah, sounds like a good time. It sounds like you've got a pretty good infrastructure there as well. So you all won 3-1. Now that is not in dispute. You all played incredibly well. If you were to have to pick someone on this team, I don't know whether it's your captain, whether it's whoever, whatever the case may be. If you were to pick one or a couple of people, is there anyone that you would highlight as the MVP of this week, or is this just much more of this is a massive team victory for us?
Honestly, I'd have to put it down to a team victory. Like everyone played a role today specifically. Bailey did, or Maldred did great with organizing and her own 2v2. I thought, like, just specifically that game, I thought she did great. The build went really well. Trevor, or Pancake, sorry, obviously did well in his 1v1 and the 2v2, and I played my own games. The alums as well helped us practice. A few other members in our team who didn't get to play today, but who have been playing games over the past few weeks also helped out. So I definitely put it down to team effort.
Yeah, that's not something I hear about a lot. When you have, okay, so we have all these teams that, they have these great histories, say I don't think Waterloo's playing anymore, but, Waterloo used to win all the Collegiate Star League stuff. And now they, you don't hear about these teams that bring in their alums as much as UChicago does. So that's really cool that you have that participation with your team from people that aren't even at the school anymore. So that's very cool. I would ask you about. Go ahead.
So, go ahead.
And I was saying, I would ask you, a question on my list is, who are you scared of? What caused issues for this match? But I think we both know the answer to that question.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, going into this game, we realized that they have a lot of actually really good players. Like I think they have several Master 1 GM players, which we were worried about. Like, and obviously they have Vindicta. But yeah, it ended up going really well. I guess they were rotating their lineup today.
Yeah, I mean, I did take a look at things, and they played at least a decent amount of the players they played today. Have played at least 2 games in the past, so it's not a massive recirculation, but definitely there. So as we finish this up, any shout outs, anything that you wanted to talk about coming in here today that I have not asked you? Any shout outs you want to give to the actually a fairly decent amount of people are watching this right now.
Yeah.
20 odd people.
I mean, I'd love to first shout out our captain, Maladroit Bailey. I thought she's been a really great help this season, been organizing everything very well, making it easy for herself and the players to get into the games and have a good idea of what they're getting into. So, yeah, probably her.
Fair enough. Well, thank you for joining me, my friend. Congratulations once again to you and your team. You're now sitting at the top of the table, and that's gotta feel great. So, congratulations once again. When we're back, I believe we're going to bring in T-Dragon for interviewing UCSD as well. We'll see what that is. We may just come back and say goodbye. Regardless, we'll be back. And we are back with the other side of this matchup. We have T-Dragon, the captain of University of California, San Diego. My commiserations, but that was a great matchup.
It was some very well played games.
So, going into this, we kind of knew that Vindicta, whatever map he played, he was going to win. Most likely. I mean,
right.
I think that's kind of fair. But the question really is, how did you prepare around Vindicta? Right, because you have this super ace. You know, if you probably get to ace match, you're probably winning. That's what you saw the last 2 weeks. And unfortunately, it didn't maybe work out this time. But did you develop your roster in such a way to make sure that you got to that ace match, or what was your thinking as you were submitted to your lineup this week?
Right. So for us, it's more about having everybody get a chance to participate. So in our case, we figured that they would put Yo-Yo and Pancakes in for the ones. So I decided to put Andrew up first, Candrew, because he is one of our stronger ones players. And so he was
prepping
for much of the week a build against Pancakes, which didn't quite work out. But as for the twos, there was a little bit of debate on which maps to play on. There was a lot of theory crafting about, what kinds of builds to do, but I gotta say, they really outplayed us in Game 4. That was one of the biggest brain twos I've ever seen. So
that was, you see the Estrella build, which is just, or I call it the Estrella build. I don't know really who came up with it in the first place, but just, 7 gate, 2 gas, charge lot. And you're like, okay, that's pretty good. It's falling out of the meta now a little as Terrans are learning to deal with it, but a 3-minute third Nexus from 2 Protoss into that, like, what in the world was that build?
Right. The complete opposite of what you expect. So
yeah, but hey, it worked out pretty well. So you all are still at the top of the table. I believe you're probably tied for first place or in second place, whatever the case may be. What are your goals as this season progresses? Is this we're going to hard charge to the championship? Where do you all see yourselves at the end of this season?
So, as I mentioned to Steadfast a few weeks ago, obviously our primary goal is to win, and I think that going up against UChicago could help us realize that there are definitely some areas of improvement, maybe some different tactics that we need to employ. So I definitely think that we're going to need to take a step back, rethink some of our strategies, see what else is new. Yeah, I haven't really had a chance to think about it just yet, but yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. So when we talk about preparation this week, what is preparing for a week in the CEA look like for University of San Diego or University of California, San Diego? I apologize.
Right. So ideally, we'd be getting in a lot of practice since the format is different from TESPA's lineup format, in which you didn't really submit a lineup beforehand, but you would go match by match. We're still getting adjusted to that, and obviously that comes with a lot of theory crafting, a lot of mind gaming, a lot of predicting that goes into submitting the lineup. So the issue is that we really only have one night of preparation before the matches. And during that one night, we're just mostly playing against each other. So unfortunately, we don't really have the infrastructure that maybe UChicago does with their alumni. We do have alumni who keep in contact with us, but they're not always available. Same goes for other players who we would consider ideal for practice, maybe higher level players and such. So a lot of it is just we sort of craft our own methods as we go, which is, in my opinion, a point of pride. We got this far by doing that. But I definitely think that some more preparation would benefit us in the long term. So.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Hey, look, you're sitting at 4-1. You're top of the table. That's nothing to shake a stick at. That's absolutely a good position to be. All right, and I guess last question for you: is there anything that you wanted to talk about coming in here that I have not asked you about? Any shout outs you want to give? Anything like that? That kind of with last words, I guess.
Well, I don't really want to single anybody out, but I'll just shout out to my team. I know that we're all working really hard, both in Starcraft and in other things. Obviously, since academics are rigorous at UCSD as they are at UChicago, everything's sort of a balance.
Oh, yeah.
And so, being a student is, in my opinion, a full-time job that doesn't pay. I think it's definitely underrated, and it's just difficult. So I just want to say thanks to my team for putting up with me and for doing the best that they can in situations that are not always ideal. So, yeah.
Yeah. You say being a student's a full-time job that doesn't pay. Actually, I think it's the opposite. It's a full-time job that you have to pay to have. So
exactly. There you go.
Yeah. No,
Yep.
the trick is go to grad school, go get a PhD, and then they pay you not a lot, but they do pay you to be a PhD student.
Yes,
Not for
correct.
like me, it's fine. Anyway,
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in, for hanging out with us, for giving us a little bit of insight into how UCSD runs. And best of luck for the rest of your season.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
All right. Yep, you too. And with that, week 5 of the Corporate Esports Association, Collegiate and Corporate. It's all done. It's been taken care of. We had two massive upsets today. We had MSFT-B taking out Shopify. Shopify, of course, has the best player in the entirety of the Corporate Esports Association. And then we have University of Chicago taking out UCSD in similar situations. Vindicta, probably the best player in the collegiate version of the CEA this season. So between the two of them, I think the storyline, the thing we could learn from this, more than anything else, is having one super ace does not a team make. Not in this format. Granted, both Microsoft B, University of Chicago, they played incredibly. They played their hearts out. You could tell they practiced. You could tell they worked. But again, depth, breadth versus depth is kind of the question there. And one team had breadth, and one maybe had just that extreme depth, extreme depth. And we did see breadth come ahead this time, but that is not what is guaranteed for the future. If you want to figure that out, you're gonna have to tune in next week and the weeks following. So with that, thank you all so much for hanging out, for sitting here, for listening to me talk by myself for the last couple of hours. I really appreciate it. CEA really appreciates it. And so if you like what's happening, what the CEA is doing, you can follow them at Corporate Esports, at Corporate Esport. There we go. You can join their Discord at discord.gg/CEA if you're interested in starting a team, joining a team, all these things. And they do great work because, of course, they are the spiritual successor of the After Hours Gaming League and really the Collegiate Star League, or TESPA. So it's kind of a nice amalgamation of both. And if you like what I do, well, I am BeoMulf. You can follow me at twitter.com/BeoMulf_SC2. That's where I tweet wherever I'm going live because I stream on a bunch of different services, depending on where the prize pool is coming from. I will actually be doing the North American qualifier number 3 in about an hour on twitch.tv/BeoMulf. So that's that. Thank you all so much for hanging out, for enjoying the games with me, because we did see some pretty cool ones. And with that, have a good night, have a good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever the case may be, wherever you are, and stay safe, everyone.